Yes, you did. You made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is the return episode. It was like 7 years ago that Jennette McCurdy, the incredible Jennette McCurdy, did this podcast. But Katie made me aware of her new book, which is called I'm Glad My Mom Died. And obviously, I was like, what? I got to read this. Checked it out. Actually, I listened to the audiobook. It's unbelievable. It's incredible. She's so talented. She's so wonderful. I was like, we have to have her back on the podcast. So definitely check out I'm Glad My Mom Died. As an audiobook is how I did it. Katie read the book. Either way, same words, but her performance is really, really great. She's so talented. So this is an incredible chat. Obviously, we joked in this episode that it's like perfect for the holidays because there's a lot of talk about how difficult family dynamics can be in relationships like that and how to mend them and how to heal them. And anyway, it's really a wonderful chat. One of my favorites in a long time. So let's get to it as quickly as possible. This episode will be on YouTube, but because of some technical difficulties, the video didn't work out. We're just releasing it as audio on YouTube and also as an audio podcast. So that's, I don't know. I didn't want you to be confused, but you can still watch it on YouTube if that's how you fuck with podcasts. If you'd like to see me live doing stand-up comedy, come go to PeteHolmes.com. Some new dates are also about to be added, but right now you can go for tickets to San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Washington, D.C. And I'd also like to point out that it being the holiday season, it's a wonderful time to treat yourself or someone you love to a Pete's pick, like I'm holding it right here, Magic Mind. It's always here on my desk. You hear me offer it to the guests because I loved Magic Mind first. I reached out to them. My dear friend James Bashar, it's how we became friends, is the developer of Magic Mind. I loved it. Then I reached out and was like, you guys got to sponsor the podcast, get a promo code to the weirdos. So the love was first. That's super important because this is the product that has changed my life the most in recent years. I absolutely, absolutely swear by it. And if you've tried it recently or never tried it, I'd like to point out they just put out a new version. It's version 4.0, which tastes even better. It's less shaking required, meaning the matcha that's in this drink, you don't have to shake it as much. It gets mixed up easier and it gets into your system faster, meaning you feel the effects faster. So I already loved it, but they're always working on it, tweaking it, improving it. And version 4.0 is now available and I absolutely love it. You maybe heard me on We Made It Weird. I drank one and talked about the new taste, but that was the first time. And now I'm hooked on version 4.0. If you don't know what it is, it's a magical elixir that makes you focus better on your work, be more creative, and drink less coffee. In fact, you drink it with your coffee because it has adaptogens in it, and adaptogens round the edges of stress. Sometimes coffee can make you a little stressed. This rounds out that experience and makes it just pure, clean, creative energy. It's a mix of 12 functional ingredients, including, as I mentioned, matcha, nootropics that help you focus, and adaptogens, as I mentioned, help you fight off stress. Everybody has, athletes have Gatorade. We jokingly call this Creatorade. It's Creatorade. You take it with your coffee or on its own, which is often what I do, for a sharper mind, steady energy, immune support, and less stress. You get 30% more done on average, 5 to 7 hours of 30% more productivity after drinking. It doesn't get you wired. This is the biggest point. It doesn't get you wired or jittery. It gets you dialed in, which makes it your creator's best friend. You try it 15 minutes before you're doing something and you just have so much more ease getting into that flow state, getting into that dialed in state. Fights off some ADD symptoms, procrastination, brain fog, and fatigue. I absolutely love it. I swear by it. Give it a try. Perfect way to support the show. If you like the show, go to www.magicmind.co. Who has time for that? .co/weird and use discount code WEIRD at checkout to get 20% off. It's a limited time, 20% off your first order. magicmind.co/weird, weird at checkout. It's also brought to us by our friends, which I'm also wearing. This is my Apollo Neuro. I was just leaving for LA the other day and realized I wasn't wearing my Apollo. It was charging. And I turned around. I was like 10 minutes away from my house. I turned around, came back to the house just to get my Apollo. It is a wearable piece of technology. A lot of people think it's a watch or something like a Whoop. It is not. It is way better than either of those things because it sends gentle vibrations directly into your nervous system, basically speaking to your nervous system in the language of touch, which is the language that it can understand. It's basically a wearable hug. It's like a robo-hug. They could have called it robo-hug, like robot hug. Who has time for that tea? I have a lot of who has that time jokes in this intro. But it gives your nervous system the signal that it is okay and that it is supported. It's like a weighted blanket that you wear all the time, helping you feel safe and in control. I wear it on my wrist. Val wears hers on her ankle. It delivers those gentle, almost subperceptual, meaning you don't notice it, but you notice the effects of these vibrations that train your nervous system to recover and rebalance after stress. And in my experience, help you while you're feeling that stress. Also, like one of the settings is called Sleep and Renew. As I'm older now, I get up more in the night to go pee-pee. And when I get back in bed, sometimes it's hard to fall back asleep. I just hit these 2 buttons on the Apollo. It runs that program again, Sleep and Renew, and literally lulls me gently back to sleep by basically like establishing a pattern and then slowing that pattern down, and then you're off. They have the opposite of that, which is Energy and Wake Up. Social and Open is also a more upbeat sensation, helps you get into those group modes, into that creative mode. Clear and Focus has been shown to help fight off symptoms of ADD. Rebuild and Recover is what I put it on after stressful things like flights or difficult phone calls or meetings. Relax and Unwind, we call it the try to stay awake setting. That's what I have it on at night when I'm watching TV or reading, getting ready for bed. And as I mentioned, Sleep and Renew. Apollo Neuro works better the more you use it. It's not woo-woo, as I always point out. This isn't like a crystal. It was developed by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who have been studying the impacts of chronic stress for nearly 15 years. And Apollo's effects on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies. So don't just take it from me. This is the cutting edge of wearable technology, and it's absolutely changed my life. I've given away more Apollos. It's an incredible Christmas holiday gift that if you don't know what to get somebody, the answer is the Apollo. So get 10% off and show your support of the show. Go to apolloneuro.com/weird. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird for 10% and show your support of the podcast. All right, everybody, enjoy this incredible chat with Jennette McCurdy, and I really, really hope you're having a great holiday season. We'll be taking next week off, but we will see you on Friday for We Made It Weird, and then we'll be back in the new year. All right, get into it.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm wearing my like monster socks because the shoes are too big.
What? Why are you embarrassed? I mean, I actually think this is the highest compliment. Leela, who's my 4-year-old, would love everything you're wearing.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
That's great.
Why not? Mm-hmm. Why not? Well, we're as you know, the show just starts as long as it's okay with your sock material being.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know why. I feel like I've been reading your book, so maybe you're getting this. Like I feel like this like sensitivity. Like I want to be really gentle and kind to you. Like even Katie was like, she said, I loved your book. I read it in 2 days.
Thanks, Katie.
And
Nice.
It's such a weird thing to be like, and we loved it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But like when I saw you, I had like this new. Obviously, you did the podcast before years ago, but now there's this new appreciation. I hope that's not like rubbing you the wrong way. Are you getting that from people?
I appreciate it. The only thing that I don't really like is, oh God, I just want to hug you.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like then I'm being pitied, and I'm like, oh God, that's not.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
No, pity's an interesting thing, right? I mean, it's sort of like improv, yes-anding your victimhood.
Yeah,
Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, and to me it feels like that's not. I would have never sort of written about my life if I had just wanted pity. Like I thought that there was something entertaining about it. I thought there was something. I thought that I could write a good story, and it feels sort of like, to me it feels like it's being kind of undermined if it's just like, oh, the pity.
Well, it's also loaded, isn't it? Sorry to jump right in. I'd love to be like,
totally.
Do you have any coffee this morning? Just be silly. Yeah, there's a water right there.
Oh, great, awesome. This is so fancy.
We were just talking about it. This is our new water. It's Nirvana water, and it's made by a doctor who was treating patients, and they were having a hard time holding onto their muscle. Like, you know how people that are sick, obviously. I was like, this will be interesting to mention to Jeannette. But it decreases muscle loss, reduces muscle recovery time, and strengthens muscles and bones.
And doesn't taste bad.
It's got orange in it, right?
Yeah. It actually tastes good.
I'm glad. Yeah, it's called Nirvana. There are new water.
Wow, I'm so surprised.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy. It's literally our first step out. So anyway, yeah, that's my point. Is I'd like to start with like more casual water banter and all the things that have changed.
I'm glad not to. It's good. Yeah.
Well, then let me jump right in because it has to be loaded that your mom used so much of her diagnosis to get specialness.
Yes.
So if you wrote a book, it would be like, oh no, she learned nothing.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yet we would all understand and would just kind of say it behind your back. It'd be like, well, the apple doesn't fall far. You know what I mean? Like, what a nightmare. But that's clearly not what you're doing.
That's my worst fear.
Yeah, of course
That's
it
my
is.
biggest fear. Yeah.
Of course it is. I'm so glad you laughed because I'm like, no one thinks that. But like...
But now that you've said it, people might.
No, we're dispelling because it's so clearly not written. Look, I look back on my book and there's certain things that I wrote about my parents that were just a little bit...
When was your book?
It came out right when Lila was born, so about 3 years ago.
Oh my God, I can't wait to read it.
Oh, I'll give you one.
Yeah.
There's one on the shelf.
I'd love to.
But like there are parts I wrote about my parents. I do not regret it, but I can tell that I'm going like... pretty fucking sad, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to get the base coat. And when I read yours, you have this license, like James Bond, you have a license to like go for tears and stuff. But you're not doing
slip
that
in
at all.
like James Bond.
Yeah, but it's not blood that drips down, it's tears. It's you can't really tell. It just looks like goo, but it's tears. I want you to know no one feels that way.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that.
Why? So tell me a little bit more about why the catharsis. I mean,
Do I need to hold this close also? Is this okay? Kind of here? Okay, great.
In fact, let me start with is it hard to promote? This was the first thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Is it hard to promote a book? Because you go on the morning radio, you go on lots of things, dumb things, stupid things. You're like, so Jennette McCurdy, you're glad your mom died. Tell me, Jeannette, why are you glad? Oh, yeah, that your mom, am I reading this right? It's like Chico and the boy. Am I reading this right? That your mom died?
Oh my God.
Like, right? The title's great. I mean, I love it because I respond to that sort of honesty. But you must be getting that like crazy?
Yeah, it's definitely been. So I was feeling
Chico and the boy. And coming up next after the break, Jennette McCurdy's glad her mom died. I wonder how she died. Oh, if my mom died, I wouldn't be so glad. Let me tell you that right now. I love my mom. In fact, we're going to call her after the break. And we'll let Jeannette talk to my mom, who is alive. Okay, we'll be right back. Can I tell you, I've been on radio shows where they call someone from Orange is the New Black, and they're literally like, you guys get naked a lot in that show. And the woman hung up on them. I forget which actress it was.
I love that.
But I was
respect
like,
that.
fucking
I
A.
respect that.
Get the fuck off this call. That was his first question was like, you got to take your tatas out. And I was like, click. And they were like, oh, I think we lost her. Yeah, you fucking lost her, you idiot. So tell me, is that your experience?
I'm crying. Oh my God.
I mean, we need to laugh. It's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff.
Yeah, honestly, before, like, I wasn't even sure, like, doing press for something like this felt weird. Like, I felt like, fuck, I don't know if I should do that. And I had a lot of doubt but ultimately my manager sort of convinced me to do it, and I trust him a lot, and he felt like, it's just gonna help so much, and like, you need to do this.
Can I echo that?
Yeah.
I mean, when Katie, this is all Katie, by the way. I'd have you on anytime. Anytime, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Thank you.
But she was like, I don't know if you know, Jeannette wrote a book. And we love talking about parent issues.
Yeah.
And I slow gas leaked it. Like, I didn't want to like fully come out, like about, you feel weird.
Yes.
Family secrets.
Yes.
And then like that is maybe tied for first number one thing, other than like spiritual trauma, but that's tied into your story. But people are like, you share it, it helps you and it helps them. It's like it's like a miracle. It helps everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm truly glad you did.
Oh.
So keep going.
Thank you. No,
keep
thanks. I appreciate
with my gratitude.
And then so I started doing press, and I did have a lot of the sort of radio voice, which is just such a weird layer, especially considering the things I'm talking about, and like growing up in Hollywood and all of that. It's like the irony of it, and the humor was like funny to me. I remember I probably shouldn't say this, but Good Morning America, and it was like
You have 15 seconds
yeah, and they like load. I'm like being loaded into the set while they're already recording another
where it's
segment.
always noon.
Yes.
It's always hard noon. It's like a Wild West noon, like no clouds. Good morning, America. And I'm sorry to keep interrupting with riffs. We're going to get back to it. But is there anything more like a bad psychedelic trip than Good Morning? Like, not just Good Morning America, but morning shows in general. There's
Right.
something really unnatural
Yes.
about smiling when you're
so
not happy.
glossy and shiny and
just
polished.
her coming, and I
Yes.
would nice to see the host realize the title of your book is so sad because they're like, coming up next on Good Morning America, Jennette McCurdy is here to talk about how her mom died. Slowly melting.
Go, I'm glad my mom died, and like just trails off as they're reading the prompter.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, KFC is out with a new flavor that might be a little too spicy, and Jennette McCurdy from iCarly is glad that her mom died. That after message from the wacky weather. Jesus Christ! Off camera, I need to be warned!
I'm sure that happened more than a few times.
Right?
The woman who was like announcing or like introducing the segment, she was going on and on about my like terrible life while I'm being kind of loaded in and like trying to be quiet, and they're like pipe down, because I was wearing like loud boots, and they're like trying to get me to be more quiet. And she's like her terrible, brutal, awful, horrendous, hideous, like just a string of adjectives going on and on about how kind of brutal my life was. And I sit down opposite George Stephanopoulos, who we found out like the day before he was going to be doing the interview, instead of, it wasn't like the light segment they thought it was going to be. It was like a serious sit down.
Right.
And the whole thing just felt like, God, this is bizarre. This is sort of, like it's just a weird like meta version of the thing that I'm talking about in the book.
You've been reduced to bullet points.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And when you
exactly,
list it,
exactly.
it's very dehumanizing.
Yes.
I'm not saying Good Morning America. Please have me back, Hoda. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I love Always Noon. I love a bad psychedelic trip. It's so fun. But I'm just saying, when you are just, not the same, but on Crashing, they would be like, he was raised religious and then his wife left him here to talk about it. And I'd be like, well, thanks so much.
Yeah, they sort of inherently lack nuance, which I get as part of it. But the idea of like, okay, I'm sort of participating in this thing, which how much does that suggest that I'm endorsing this thing? While also I know that I have to do this thing for the thing to do well. It's like,
that's right.
It was really kind of, I did a lot of therapy specifically around press and like how to navigate that.
Yeah.
And then I actually noticed last night, I was so excited to see you both.
Yeah.
But I was feeling some dread, and I was like, what is this dread about? Why am I feeling this like, ugh? And I think it's just from talking about it so much, and that I've become somewhat desensitized to it, I think. And I think that then makes it just less, I think it makes it less interesting to hear. And I think it makes it less impactful to even talk about. Like I feel like there's something of a lack of connection just by nature of, I like cried a couple times in press. I felt some shame about that. So then I felt like I had more of a guard when I would talk about it and kind of be more the presentational version of myself in order to get through talking about a thing without choking up. Cause I'm like, fuck, I know how they're going to edit it, and they're going to make it seem like I'm like, like
grainy black and white, like like an off angle camera you didn't know they were shooting on. Jennette McCurdy breaks down.
Yes. And then the thumbnail on YouTube. Like I knew that was how things were going to be sort of, just they and I get that they're doing that because they have to, because they want the views, but
we can all puke in our mouths for what you just said. You know what I mean? I'm not even trying to be funny. It reminds me of how one of the things that really haunted me is how kids learn to justify their parents' behavior. Anything, and I think it's probably why you have this aversion to it, anything that sounds like, but they're just being a good show. You know what I mean? Chilling. And as a father now, I was like, oh my God. Like, don't forget. I don't forget. If there's anything I can say about Val and I's parenting styles, we don't forget that Leela's watching and paying attention as best we can.
She's 4?
She's 4, yeah. I know. 2 years older than you. When you said you were 2 and singing. But here, let's keep on what you're saying.
Okay.
This is going to sound, I've had good experiences, profound experiences that get turned into a story.
Yes.
And Louis C.K., I know. But he has this thing about stand-up where he's like, there's dictating, like reading a script, and then there's communicating, and it's different sides of the brain. And when I heard him say that, that really changed how I do stand-up. I try to perform from a communicating place.
Interesting.
And I think what's happening, and you tell me, is you had this wet stone of something to share, and you walked it back to the beach blanket, and it dried up because you have to talk about it so much.
I don't understand. Walk me through the whetstone.
I'm gonna,
Okay.
Here we go. We're going to stay with it.
Okay, great.
I'm just saying, in talking about it so much, it becomes words instead of, and it's a self-preservational thing. Somehow that's the wet, dry stone. No one called that into question. You either got it or you didn't, man. But like, I've had beautiful experiences that when people ask me about them, and bad experiences.
Yes.
You hate that you go like, well, this is the time I saw a dead body. And it becomes, you turn yourself into bulletproof.
Yes.
You have to.
Right.
But isn't there like, and you tell, this is a leading question, but when you write about it, there's almost the good version of that because you're putting it on paper and you're making it words. There's like a healthy distance.
Yeah.
But then in the repetition, it becomes stale or too distant?
Yeah, I'm already self-conscious of how pretentious this is, but also like the...
Can't wait. Can I just say can't wait?
It's like, it was my genuine thought, and I was like, fuck, it's
Safe
so pretentious,
space.
but whatever.
Whatever it is, I'm going to yes and the pretentiousness so hard.
Like the writing of a thing, you know, if it's a personal experience, feels like there's some crafting involved, like there's commitment to it, there's the time and energy and effort it takes to like really consider what's entertaining and what's not. But then just talking about the thing that you've made, then that to me just feels really just kind of, it's starting to feel a little vapid.
Yeah. Well, it's twice removed.
Right.
It happened.
Right.
Then you wrote about it. Then you talked about what you wrote about.
Yeah. And the writing about it felt pure. Like I really mean that. Like it really felt pure to me. It really felt, I felt compelled to write about it. I felt really connected to it. And now I'm just like, okay, there's nothing else to say. There's no other like, I'm not going to say something in a better way than I wrote it than I spent writing it for a year and a half. And then now if I say something, it's just like I'm rehashing and right. It just feels tired.
By the way, every author that comes on, it sucks that you're like, someone who wrote the book committed, and we're like, what's it mean to commit? And you're like, I wrote the book. The book is the answer.
Right.
And now you have to go around. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I'd love to find a way to talk about it, but we don't have to directly talk about it. Like, I really don't want to be like, so why are you glad? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll steer it, and we can talk about whatever you want.
I'm really excited to talk with you about the spiritual elements and all that, because I know there's
exciting.
Yeah, or I think there's a connection there.
There is. Well, God, I'm being very sensitive. I keep wanting to say white glove, but that's not right. White glove is like citing Stillers, like Downton Abbey. I'm not treating you like a giant dining table. Kid gloves, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
What were we going to say?
The sensitivity. Yeah, I feel all right. What's the worst that could happen? What if I just started crying? Like whatever. Who cares, right? I mean, it'd be fun.
Well, then
we'd work through it.
Yeah, you're right. And by the way, facts. This is your episode. Well, we'd edit out anything.
Well, and I genuinely do. I feel safe here, and I feel like we're gonna have I hate that word, whatever. But I do feel like it's
what's safe.
Yeah, at this point, it's lost its meaning, right?
I actually I've had a lot of therapists reach out, and they're like, "We've noticed that you say you're in a safe space," and they're like, "We think that's really good." And I'm not doing it to manipulate anybody.
Yeah.
But I benefit when people just say call it out. You're safe. It's okay. Like this isn't a gotcha podcast.
Yes,
you know
yes.
And that's
totally
all true. You could make this 20 minutes if you want at the end of the day. But what I was worried that I'm doing is people projecting on or oversharing, making it about them, making your story about them. But in the interest of talking about it,
I like that. I like it. To me, makes it feel more conversational and makes it feel less, kind of pointed and like, well, so here's my question for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that's what I hope it feels like.
Yeah.
When I was reading it, I'm listening to it, and you did a great job, and the writing is fantastic. And here's a very surface compliment: love short chapters.
Yes.
When you feel like you're ripping through a book.
Yes.
And it never gets caught in the mud. There's no fat on this book.
I'm so glad.
There's no like, all right, move on. You're just like, I can't believe you ended there. Like, it's not even my life. I would have been like, I would have written so much more. Not in a good way. You end it wanting more, and then you have to read the next chapter.
I have such a short attention span when I read that I really wanted it to be sort of feel digestible and just readable. I'd wanted it to not feel too long. I'll get so distracted in the middle of a chapter. If a chapter's like 10 pages, I'll think, okay, I'll get to the end of it, and then I'll kind of go do something else, and then I'll wind up just feel like, oh, it's too much to read these 10 pages, and then I'll go get distracted and watch something or do the dishes and then forget about it.
It's kind of people sometimes say I use the word graceful wrong. I mean full of grace, meaning understanding of the reader, meaning I'm telling you something difficult.
What is graceful? What is the wrong graceful?
I think when people say graceful, they mean like elegant, like
sure.
smooth
Got it.
and like composed.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean full of grace,
I
like
see.
compassionate might be a better word. That it's like, let's not go nuts. Let's do little segments.
Yeah.
And you can take a break whenever you want. I know there's a lot. Little Skittles.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this, and then we'll talk about what our favorite candy is. So we'll do like little palate cleansers.
Great.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Hey, spoiler, mine's Skittles. I'm just kidding. It's not. I really related hard, and I know this is general, to feel the feeling of a child being responsible for the happiness of a parent. And I know that's pretty on the nose if you've read the book.
Sure.
But like, I don't know. There's something about realizing and being told. My mom, we're doing pretty good, but like she still will say like, you're the only thing that makes me happy. And I did something crazy where Val and I were in the car together, and I was like, I just want to call my mom. I have no other time to do it. Do you want to listen? And she listened. Did you ever do something like that?
Yeah.
Where there's a witness and you're like, I know this is weird.
Yeah.
And my mom, who knows I'm not coming home for Christmas.
Okay.
By the way, I spend a lot of my time feeling sad and feeling loving. So I'm not just like, get over it, dumbass. Like, it's not that.
And you're usually with her for Christmas. This is...
No.
Okay.
We usually alternate. But now that we have the baby, it's like, we just want to make it about Leela, not fly to Boston.
Sure.
And if I'm being real, and this is the hardest part, and I think we all kind of know, nobody likes it. Nobody enjoys it.
No one wants it.
Exactly?
For sure.
Including them.
Yes.
Jeannette.
Yes, I know.
They flew out for Leela's fourth birthday.
Yeah.
My dad, for everyone to hear, we're cutting the cake, and my he's always perpetually pulling up his pants. And he's just going, he's shuffling over in his Tevas. And if you saw my dad's feet, you would see what a bold choice Tevas are. My dad his foot takes a left. Like it's like 2 feet. He's going in 2 directions in 1 foot. And he's like, I'll wear the most open toe sandal. And he's pulling up his pants, and he goes, and my Val's parents are there, and he goes, 4,000 miles for a lousy slice of cake. And I'm like, if you're not enjoying this, who is this for?
Right.
It really becomes, to a certain extent, where it's like, this is so brutal to say, so I'm oversharing. I'm like, we enjoy our Christmas, and you'll come and you won't enjoy our Christmas.
Yes.
So it's just a loss. I hate what I'm saying right now, but nothing is good.
I couldn't agree more.
Right?
Yeah.
So when it's like, why aren't you coming for Christmas? There's these, like you talk about in the book, there's unspoken family things.
Yeah.
One of our unspoken family things is like, we don't really work. We don't work. And by unspoken, I mean, sometimes I do say that.
Yeah.
I use Seinfeld voice, but I have to be like, we don't work.
I've felt that a lot recently. I was trying to figure out how to spend Christmas with my brothers. We haven't spent it all together since our mom died. And I thought, there's some part of me that thought, like, that became a child and thinking, oh, it's going to be this healing, beautiful, wonderful experience. We'll all be together. We'll all get through it. And then just working through, like, literally the second I sent the email thread to all 3 of them, I was like, what have I done? Like, why did I start this? And then realizing kind of that I don't think any of them want to really be there either. And I can feel them kind of making excuses for doing it and just being like, let's just not make this happen. Like, none of us want to do this. But why that can't be said, and why we have to pretend that we want it, and then also just like the sadness that that we're not really that close, and that we're not really that connected, and that we don't really have much in common. It's like it can be really sad.
I know we're talking about a sad thing, but I'm like really happy because so much of life is not talking this way. And it drives me crazy.
Yes.
And what we're talking about is what Val's therapist would say, because sometimes Val talks about me in therapy, which, if I'm being honest, I'm like, that's so nice. Like, you devoted a little time for like my
honored.
issue. I'm like, really? What did she say? But she was talking about this, and it was like, she would say, like, you have to, and Val would say, have to like mourn, like while you were saying it, it's like the little girl, Jeannette,
Yes.
and the little boy, Pete,
Yeah.
that wants it to work.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
could make myself cry, but I remember saying to my dad, I was just in one of those heart open
Yes,
moments.
yes.
Like a moment of clarity.
Yep.
And I was sitting with him and I was like, we should take a road trip, me, you, and my brother. Ugh, this is brutal. Have this pillow. And he looked at me and was like, yeah, we should. But the subtitles on, it would be like, his line would be, Dad, the reader in parentheses, knowing it's never going to happen, would be his direction. Pete, knowing it's never going to happen. Dad, we should take a road trip. It would actually say earnest, yet knowing it'll never happen.
Yes.
And
yes.
like coming to terms with that, one of the only ways I have to come to terms with it is having these conversations like this, where I'm like, there's unspoken family mythologies. One is never admit that we don't work, act like we work, but we all know it doesn't work.
Yes.
Brutal.
Yes.
Brutal.
It makes me think of, well, a couple things, but there's also like the things that you then have to say to like reiterate, you know, in person. I don't know. I feel like it's so difficult for me to do the thing that I know I should do. For example, like I have two sister-in-laws. One of my sister-in-laws will do the thing of like, we're always here for you. Like, we love you so much in this thing. And I feel, and none of them will ever watch this, which is why I feel comfortable saying it. But I guess, you know, if they did, we'll figure it out.
If they did, meundies.com/weird. Please just sell 3. I'm just kidding. I just want them. I mean, if they're going to watch and complicate your life, they might as well support the podcast. They're not going to see it.
I've noticed that they sort of avoid anything where I'm talking about childhood stuff. It's difficult for them, and they you know, one of them has been in therapy, the others really aren't ready for it and don't really kind of want to go near it. But
the can of worms thing,
right?
I don't want to open the can of worms.
Yes,
open the worms.
It's so God, that's its own thing.
Yes,
that's its own thing.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no.
Perspective towards therapy is so confusing.
Oh
to me.
my
I'm
God,
like, they're worms. They're not going to eat you.
Right.
The metaphor is actually quite right. It's just worms. Let them out.
There you go. It's but I feel like I can't do that thing of like, it feels so put on to me. If I were to go and like grab them by the shoulder and be like, God, we're just here for each other. Like, I can't get through the thing that I feel like would give them some sort of, because they're doing it to me, but I feel them also wanting it from me and wanting that, like, you know, reassurance of that we are a family and we're here for each other. And it's not that I think we would all be there if we needed one another for one reason or another, but it's just not, we don't want to, there's just a disconnect. There's just a fundamental kind of, we just are not, you know, in harmony. We're not, I can't find the right way of saying it, but
very different people.
Yes.
And why wouldn't we be?
Yeah.
We are very different people. Some families luck out or they bond or I don't know what the fuck they do.
Yeah.
Do you relate to this? Because as you're saying that wishful hope.
Yeah.
If I am, oh God, this makes me want to puke. If I'm at my absolute best, and by best I mean my perfect, which is a big theme in your book, which I also was, it's when I'm driving, I go, oh God, I'm like out loud saying, oh God. But the concept of perfect, meaning don't feel how you feel, just let the positive, pleasant emotions be a tarp over everything else. And if you dance as fast as you can and put on a show, then the family can sort of appear to work.
Yeah, it literally makes me uncomfortable talking about it. I feel my whole body.
When I said I could puke, I'm not joking. It's like, so I'm being asked, and again, I don't want to sound too pretentious, but in the hopes that people listening can relate and we can all be healed a little bit, is I'm 42, 43? I'm one of those. I'm 43, I think. I'm 43. I feel like the rodeo clowns that like come out and calm down the bulls and like, I don't want to jump in a barrel and like honk my nose and like I have to like do a character.
Yeah.
Yes. I said this on stage once, and I'm going to throw this back to you, but when I go to Boston to do shows, I'll be like, I've been speaking in a fake Boston accent the entire time with my family because that's the only, like, it helps me like cope. I'll be like, Jay Holmes, how are you, big guy? Like just this ridiculous character.
Yeah.
Ah, Jay, what a pain in the ass, Joe Lombardo, your own, like doing his jokes to him.
Yes.
And he's laughing.
Yes.
And then going to my mom being like, what a pain in the ass Dad is. Am I right? Look at him. He didn't even care about your cauliflower. It's the only move. The only move is like bazooka shots. Like you can't go in, you have to like kick in the door and like mow everybody down with bits and everyone like laughs. And then before you know it, it's over. But you go home and you feel drained, exhausted, you feel used, you feel dishonest. All of this stuff. So I would
feeling. Oh my God.
There's got to be a word for it. I bet in like Germany they have a word for it. You mean Schneikenafaken? You know, you had a little bit too much Schneikenafaken. Schneikenafaken? I have Schneikenafaken. So I say on stage, put it back to you. I go, I've been speaking in a fake Boston accent for the past, let's say, 3 days, and no one in my family has noticed. Like, not one of them goes like, what is this voice?
Right. What's going on, man? What are
you
doing?
doing?
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
Again, this is just the Jeannette and Pete make themselves almost cry episode. But if someone went like, Pete, are you uncomfortable? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like you feel like you have to perform. We can just sit and eat and like, how are you? Like a real like, how are you?
Yes.
Or like, let me tell you a little bit about my day.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way. In fact, watching sitcoms, I'm talking too much.
No.
But you're from those types of shows.
Yes.
I would watch shows like that and be like Blossom and the dad with his high 80s, 90s jeans would be like, Blossom, you seem a little off. I'm like, if somebody said you seem off, like they know what baseline is, like it was just bazooka bits and Golden Child. Tell me everything.
What would happen, do you think, if somebody did say that, like at a gathering or something? If somebody really just like saw you for a second, what would it lead to?
The real heartbreak. With my mom, I could. My mom and I could have a real chat.
Yeah.
And my dad, it's very rare. It's almost like these clouds part and you find a moment and you can connect. But you better be talking about how great it is to win and how it sucks to lose and how hard work is great. And aren't we better than other people? Like these are the hits.
Yeah,
but without really saying
sure,
it. But you're like, you know, when they ask like, how's blah, blah, blah doing? It's just like, you doing better than them? It's like how I scroll through Instagram, which is why I don't. It's like, where am I in relation to this person? That's not always, but there's that voice in my head.
Sure.
But if my dad asked, like, really, what's going on? I wouldn't feel safe to answer because I would know 5 seconds in, he might just start going like, am I off? What does it mean for me to be off?
Yes.
If Pete is off, where am I? And he'd come back and I'd be like, and that's probably the most vulnerable thing I've ever said. And he'd be like, go Sox or something. Like it's not even his fault. It's just not on the menu.
Right.
Tractor beam. I hear you. I'm listening. And I'm not just guessing what you might say. I'm actually listening to what you are saying.
Yes.
Yes?
Oh my God.
Schneichenfracklen. too much Schneichenfracken. What do you got? I'm talking too much, Jeannette. I'm sorry. Please, I'm just excited.
I'm just thinking. I'm doing exactly the thing that your dad would be doing. So now I'm thinking about my sort of my situation with my brothers and I want to like solve it. I want to fix it. I want to. I mean, honestly, the other day I was figuring out what to do, and I just like I was talking to my significant other, and I felt like. I said, like, I just, can you just decide? Because I just feel like I feel overwhelmed. Anytime my family comes up, I feel completely like my decision making, I just can't make very simple decisions. I can't do it.
It's freeze.
I feel
fight, flight, freeze. And
there's sparks happening. I can't focus. And then I just kind of like started crying. Like it just started coming out of me and just feeling like I honestly, I go, well, it's just, I can't have any contact with them. I just can't do it. It's just too excruciating. Or then I'll go, well, why can't I just have a kind of a sense of humor about it? Why can't I just walk into these situations and just kind of go, it's literally 6 hours with my family on Christmas, like whatever, just.
And yet it's not.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Not. Is your partner good at that? Because Val is.
The best.
Okay.
The
then
best.
they're tied for first because Val is like, Pete, Stop it.
Yeah.
We almost had a little funeral we bought this little coffin. We never did it, but we were going to fill it with all these hopes.
Yeah.
Like things I know.
Yes.
We're dead. We're dead. Let's not even release this. We're dead. You and I are dead. Put it on our Wikipedia page. We died today at the same time because it's too much.
Yes.
But she wanted to, like a ritual to help me watch it burn up and just be like, it just is what it is and it's okay.
Yeah.
But even as you're saying this, this gets a big laugh when I say it on stage too, and it's one of those things that I didn't even know was funny. But one of my cousins said to me, he was like, but you get married, but I'm doing my dad's voice. It wasn't my dad, but it is kind of something he would say. But he goes, but your mom's always your number one girl. And I was like, I'm feeling it right now, like acid rain on me, where even though I can have these boundaries, even though it's a win, it's not a win I'm fully comfortable with to be like, we're gonna stay home. I just saw you in October.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a break.
Yes.
But you hear the guilt. I'm even saying like, I saw you in October. Which none of us enjoyed, so check. Sorry, I have to say this to you. The insanity of my family is not enjoying a hang, and during the hang, you're not enjoying your planning the next hang.
one. Oh my God, it kills me. Even with like just friends, when you're at a dinner and they're like already setting the next one 2 months from now. I thought like that's why we just did this so we don't have to see each other.
That's
for
right.
A long time.
And you feel this way too.
Yes.
You keep waiting for 12-year-old Pete to show up, but this 43-year-old therapized grump keeps showing up and saying things like, I'm not responsible for your happiness, Mom. This isn't a good hang. I said to my mom very casually, she was actually doing a really good job because she is a learning person, and I'm watching her adapt and stopping herself from playing some of the old games that she used to play. So she actually is improving.
That's incredible.
It is, and Val was the one.
I mean, truly, I feel like that is so rare.
It is rare. So credit where credit's due.
Wow.
And I really hope this isn't out of guilt. I really love her, and there's like a desire for this connection, and yet. I had somebody show up in my life. It was a friend and was like, I just miss us. We hadn't talked in 20 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I needed Val to put it together, but she was like, they miss who you were to them 20 years ago.
Oh my God.
And they don't know. And this friend was even like, I don't even know your work. I didn't watch Crashing. I don't watch your special. I don't listen to your podcast because I don't want you to change. Doesn't that sound like something your mom would say?
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's the same sort of codependent.
Yes.
You're here
to
support this. Puke City?
I had a friend recently text me. It was a sort of late night text, and she said, "I just want you to know I'm always here for you. I love you forever, and I'm always here for you." And I wish my reaction had been like, "Oh, that's so thoughtful. Like that's really nice." My first thought was like, okay, she's on her period because I know she texts when she's sad, like late night.
Right.
And so I discount that for myself. And really, I just always feel like that's a different thing. I know we're not supposed to do that, but I just feel that.
No, I know. By the way, we all have hormonal things. The fact that there's a predictable one is just, it doesn't make women different from men.
Yeah.
We're all having that, but there is a predictable one.
Yes. Like I know I'm going to want to like quit my career every time I'm on my period. It just happens every single time.
Val and I just had a little, we're very sweet, but we had a dust up and she was like, I'm sorry, I'm on my period. And I was like, and I must be on whatever my boy, I'm not trying to be funny, but like a boy period.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
like, I really overreacted too.
It happens.
So we're all
totally
doing it. Women just do it on a schedule.
For sure.
And not always.
100%.
Not every period is that way.
Right.
I don't know
Unless you're me, and then every single time like clockwork, it's like
she said that, not
crazy.
me. Don't cancel it.
It's
Menstruation cancellation Pete Holmes is going down in flames after Jennette McCurdy, who I'm reading now on the prompter, is glad her mom died. Pete Holmes claimed that all women get emotional and said, what used to be funny in the 90s, Papa My Doll. Remember that? That was like a thing.
It's so funny to me that like I love being able to just write off something as being on my period. It makes me feel like less accountable for it. It's so funny that
Speed agreed.
I don't know why. I
Look,
don't know.
I say this too much, but it's one of the greatest revelations of my 40s. We are blocks of tofu. Hormones go through that tofu.
Yeah.
We behave in accordance to them.
Yeah.
and then we call it our personality. All it was chemicals. We all
Sure.
know this when you don't eat. I don't know if there's got to be a hormonal, you eat and your hormones change for sure. I notice it if you exercise with weights, my testosterone goes up. I become a lot quicker to anger. And this is like road rage, gym rage.
I felt that when I used to run a lot, and I felt like, I can't run because it makes me so much more hot-tempered and
yes. Because you're coursing with all these go kill a lion hormones.
Sure.
So I can't say it enough because it leads to self-forgiveness. You know what I mean? It also leads to not taking anything too seriously.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes, like I was saying, my heart was open because I said to my dad, let's go on a road trip. That was just a different hormone. I'm not saying there isn't an us that's doing stuff.
Sure.
But boy, we're a sailboat and every breeze is a hormone.
Definitely.
And nobody's immune to that.
Yeah.
Right.
I forgot what I was saying.
We'll find it. The worst host. Who cares? As long as I get to make my hormones point. You were saying if you have your period. Oh, your friend texted you.
Oh, my friend texted me. See? And I wanted thank you. I wanted to feel, there were a couple layers. My first instinct, I was like irritated, honestly, that this person had texted from this place.
Yes.
Because I felt, okay, this person knew we had a very codependent relationship. This person knew me at a time when I really was struggling a lot, and this person, my thought as to why we became less close was I think we were codependent, it was unhealthy, but also I think this person was a fixer in a lot of ways, and really, was so incredibly kind and helpful to me in so many ways, but there came a certain point where I felt like I needed to take care of myself and do that for myself, and I couldn't rely so much on this person, and I kind of had recognized the unhealthy dynamic, and then I pulled away, and then that became like, oh, okay, we can't exist unless we're in that very specific dynamic where it's like me being needy, me needing help, me struggling, and you feeling like you're the savior, and we can't get past that, and it was difficult, it was uncomfortable, but then this text just hit me as irritating because I thought, like, what do you mean I'm here if you ever need anything? That immediately puts me lower, makes me feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like I completely
saying, let's fire up the old engine again.
Yes.
Because I like who I am when you're that.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you to be that because I miss being that. And you're like, what?
Ooh.
Like when people point out that helping can be... let's put it this way: on the Enneagram, the 2 is the helper, and the problem or the shadow of the 2 is that you want people to appreciate you. You also want people to not appreciate you. Anything that you can do to validate the fact that either you're better than everybody because you're helping, or you're better than everybody because you're helping. Both are the same. Actually.
Yes.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. And in mine, I think the person was asking me to help them. And what's weird is there was a time in my life where I was really hadn't realized who I was, and therefore, this is going to sound really pretentious, but there was a time in my life where I was just more of an idiot and leaned into being an idiot because being an idiot made you kind of fun.
Sure.
Like if you were just kind of a doofus, you know? And then this person was like, be that doofus for me. I remember that doofus. And I was like, that was 20 years ago. And I've just, again, this is literally pretentious, but it's like, it's been a lot of therapy, a lot of books, a lot of learning, a lot of growing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I even look back and I was like, I was putting it on to merge with you or to mirror you.
Right.
I was lowering. That's what I think a lot of people are doing, lowering to a level because people like us, sensitive people, can tell that's what's being asked. And now we're back to our families. Lower your age, lower your...
Why is it so... I've thought a lot about this recently. Why is it so difficult to maintain the growth from therapy or books or whatever it's been, or aging or perspective, whatever?
Yeah.
Why is it so difficult to maintain that in certain environments?
Yeah.
Like why, and around certain people, why can't, because I wish it were possible to just kind of maintain those relationships. I don't know how to do that, to just be the person I am now, and I feel like I immediately revert. I start literally talking. My voice feels different coming out of my body.
Me too.
It's like,
Do you? Val can tell I'm on the phone with my mom.
oh my God, yeah.
Mom voice.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
And again, as a parent, I'm like, Leela, you can't have dad voice. We're not doing that. And I know that's good, maybe be a thing. But you know what it is? One of the most beautiful lines, and it was brutal in your book, is the vibe in your house was like a held breath, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm getting that right?
Yeah.
I think I am.
It's so funny. Anytime somebody quotes it, I'm always like, oh God. Like, I don't know why.
Really?
It
I
feels,
think held breath feels what?
It feels like, I don't know. It feels like so dramatic. Like just hearing that sounds so dramatic, and I'm like,
Can I say?
I didn't mean it.
Remember in the movie,
a held breath? Like it sounds so like. What was it? Okay.
Okay, in my book, I talk about my parents fighting, and I said, me and my brother frozen in his room like dogs waiting for fireworks to end. I mean, as you say it, that'll give me the same feeling where I'm like, but you know what? Remember in Adaptation? Did you see Adaptation?
Yeah, actually, so, kind of like a couple years ago, pretty recently for the first time.
Okay, it's great. It's one of my faves.
Yeah.
And the guy playing Robert McKee, the story guy, is like, and Nick Cage, who's playing Charlie Kaufman, asks, what about a story where nothing really happens? So
Yeah.
you're saying you feel too dramatic.
Yeah.
And he goes, what about a story where nothing much really happens? And he goes, nothing happens. It's the guy from Succession. He goes, things happen. Life is dramatic. A friend dies on the steps of a church, is his example. Which makes me laugh every time. It's so specific.
Yeah.
A friend dies on the steps of a church. I'm getting the impressions coming in better. But you know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is it's too dramatic and that's embarrassing?
Yeah.
Life's fucking dramatic.
Yeah.
Like kids waiting for parents to stop fighting and
Yes.
your house.
Yes.
So this all leads to what I like about a held breath is it's so... I'm doing it. It's like, it's so precarious. You don't want to let it out. You don't want to let more in. You want to just hold it, but you're going to shake. And meaning, isn't it that there's no room? Like one of the qualities of spirituality that I like, that I think it helps cultivate is spaciousness. And when you feel spacious, there's room. It's what I'm trying to do with you. There's room for Jeannette to be who Jeannette is today. You know what I mean? And you're doing that for me. I feel that. You did this podcast, I don't know, 7 years ago. So it's like,
Long
we
time
can be
ago.
different. We can be different.
Yeah.
That's great. But again, it seems to be a common phenomenon. So maybe we can say by no fault of their own. But when we go home, there's no spaciousness. So you have to, I've always said it's like they hand you your lines. My question for you though is, do you think they feel that way? Do you think my dad is like, thank God Peter left, I can finally, I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
You know, yeah, I don't, and it's disappointing because I really could just be completely undermining them. But my thought is like, I don't think they do the kind of,
No.
they don't do the digging. They don't. It's just,
Yeah.
I literally and. Yeah, literally, I wonder, do they just go home and they're like, that was fine. We got through. That was good. Like, what is their reaction? I'm sitting there feeling like my soul's like being sucked from my body. And are they just like, that was a good time? Like, I don't know.
That goes back to my most heartbreaking point is when things just aren't good, you can only disrupt something that is good. Like our house is a happy house.
Yeah.
And in comes this other element and it
Yes.
fucks everything up.
Yes.
Like it really does. Are they going home and going like, that was weird? Or are they just like...
Right.
I think they're in like like kind of a stuck state and you move that state around, but it doesn't change. Like we've tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I have tried our whole lives to kind of...
One of my sister-in-laws, I think we're less close than we used to be. I've known her since I was 6 years old. She and my brother were high school sweethearts, and they've been together for so long. But there was definitely a shift in my 20s where I realized, okay, I just don't think, like I feel like I'm being really fake to keep this relationship going at the same pace that it's going and to be as kind of intertwined with this person as I am and I think that's totally normal. It's what happens in your 20s. I think, but I kind of started creating distance there, and I know she has picked up on it. I can feel the tension
my God.
But then I also don't want to bring it up because I know that that's going to bring
Make
to
it worse.
closeness. It's
Yeah.
gonna I think it'll make us closer, and I don't want the closeness.
interesting.
So I'm like, fuck, this is right. Like,
Yeah.
I know she feels it. I feel that if I could bring it up, or I mean, she could also have brought it up any number of times, but neither of us do, and I know I'm not doing it because I think that it will make us closer. I'm
You
scared
actually
of that.
just helped me find a deeper
What?
truth for me.
Tell me.
Because my mom always goes, "Oh, Petey, sweetie, you're tolerating me."
Oh my God,
And she's like, "I don't want to be tolerated." And I'm like,
that's like, yeah,
I am, because
Right.
it's too, she wants that little boy sit on her lap.
yeah,
and
yeah, sure,
kiss her,
Yeah.
give her smooches, and also just completely merge. Like
Yeah.
there's so much merging in your book.
Yes.
In fact, the whole thing is merging.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like acting. Your mom's like, you love acting.
Yes, yes.
And you're like, I love acting. And like all of this suppression.
right,
And when you grow up,
Yeah.
that doesn't work. That dog won't hunt. Is that the expression? That dog won't hunt. Yeah. It doesn't hunt anymore.
you made me thought of, I don't know why
Katie went like this.
I saw on my YouTube recommended, like, Kim Cattrall, I think Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City, is that
Yeah.
right? Some sort of speech for like a women in power event or something. She's like, this is what happens when you go where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated. That totally, yeah. It just makes me think of, I don't know. I've thought about that on a couple occasions. I'm not like super familiar with Kim Cattrall's work, but just that,
Yeah.
that has, I don't know. There's something to it.
I know your mom died. What a dumb thing to say. I just wonder, did that give closure? Let's actually get to that question. We do
Okay.
mid-rolls now. We weren't doing them 7 years ago,
Oh,
but
okay.
we do mid-rolls. But when we come back, I want to talk about if you got closure from that or if it's just the same looming
Sure.
presence.
Yeah.
Because I've heard therapists go both ways.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back in literally 2 minutes, and we'll keep going on this great conversation. Pardon the interruption, weirdos. This episode is brought to us by our friends at NextEvo. I know we've talked a lot about CBD, but NextEvo has absolutely cracked the code, meaning this is CBD for people who have tried CBD in the past and just weren't that into it. Because why? First of all, these are my words. I don't know how they did it with science. They did it with science. They found a way to get the CBD into your system really quickly. So you can tell how it feels, get your dose just right, and get the effect just dialed in perfectly. And I'm holding right here the CBD, the Stress CBD Complex, which mixes CBD in a gummy with ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, we talk a lot about adaptogens on this podcast. It's because they've absolutely changed my life. Something about the blend of ashwagandha and CBD together. This has absolutely been my secret weapon against stress, but also not just to like relax or like loaf out on the couch, but if I'm trying to work and I'm just a little bit too worked up or a little bit too tense to get into a place where I can just answer emails or sit down with a document that I have to work on, I take one of these, and like I'm saying, 10 minutes later, you ease into it and you're able to work, you're able to focus, you're able to relax and go on a date or enjoy a movie, something at the end of the day that can help take the edge off for sure, but also something in the morning that can help you ease into the things that you have to do. Because honestly, I'm a sensitive person. I get overwhelmed easily. I know a lot of us do. And the Stress CBD Complex has been a huge, huge help for me. The new year is obviously a fresh opportunity to achieve your full potential, but you can't be your best if you're stressed. So if you've tried the Stress CBD Complex like I have, you'll see it's a total game changer, helping you get into that flow state. And I didn't know it was possible to have CBD get into you this quickly. Usually it's kind of I don't know, did I take it? Is it here? There's no doubt it's here, and you can dial it in just right. Yes, Stress CBD Complex has both smart sorb, meaning it absorbs smartly, smart sorb CBD, and a patented whole plant ashwagandha, clinically proven to reduce stress by up to 70% and improve concentration by 50%. NextEvo uses that. It's over 30 times better absorption in the first 30 minutes. So don't just use any CBD brand. Most CBD products on the market have only 2 to 10% absorption. 2 to 10% absorption. So at least 90% is actually wasted. It's simple. If it's not absorbed, it can't help you. And NextEvo has cracked the code. It's different. It delivers 4 times better overall CBD absorption and has been proven in multiple clinical studies. And mixed with that ashwagandha, it's an absolute game changer. So make CBD a part of your full potential with NextEvo Naturals. Go to nextevo.com/podcast and use promo code WEIRD to get 20% off your first order of $40 or more. That's 20% off $40 or more at nextevo.com/podcast, promo code WEIRD. I know that by heart because I use my own promo code to order refills on this, and I'm just fully subscribed at this point. Next up, I got to get it. Hold the phone. What is this? This is a metal poster. This is the Not Feeling It chicken, and this is available on Displate, displate.com/Pete Holmes. And we have 5 different designs ready to purchase. One of them, of course, is the Not Feeling It chicken. So if you love not feeling it as much as I do, and you want something substantial, not just a piece of paper hanging on your wall, peeling off on one corner, looking like crap, get yourself a one-of-a-kind metal poster designed to capture your unique passions. Displate created a 21st century canvas that, as you can see, is sturdy, magnet-mounted, and durable enough to withstand a lifetime of intense sharing. But starting is only half the fun. You can even customize, collect, and rearrange them at will. Displate has both branded and artistic artwork. They have over 1 million designs available for everyone, including Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Netflix, NASA, South Park, games, movies. You can find something for everyone. Anything that they're passionate about, I guarantee you'll find some version of it on Displate, and you'll find it in this permanent, awesome, heavy, badass-looking way. Each product is high-quality design, printed on metal in Europe, and hand-signed by their master of production. Displate creates a unique, safe, magnet mounting system that only takes 20 seconds. You don't have to drill into your walls. All you do is wipe off your wall with a cleaning wipe, stick on a protective leaf, place a magnet, and put the Displate on your wall. It's that easy. Displate delivers its products worldwide in only 45 business days. It's a perfect alternative for standard paper posters that often get damaged and don't look that great, and it doesn't leave marks on the wall. It's incredible. They're also eco-friendly. For every design sold, they're planting a tree. So right now, Displate is having the biggest discount ever. That's 1 to 2 Displates. You get 20% off. 3 or more, you get 30% off. Like I said, there's 5 Pete Holmes Displates at displate.com/Pete Holmes. Use the link in the description. Go to displate.com/Pete Holmes, displate.com/Pete Holmes, and use code WEIRD at the checkout. Displate, collect your passions. All right, everybody, let's get back to the second half of Jennette McCurdy. And we're back. What I was going to say, like the longer version
This is a good couch. It's a really
great?
It's really good.
Couch.
It really is.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
I've had people really not like it. So
Why? What's
I think
the
it's
feedback?
too deep-seated.
Okay.
A lot of people just slump in it.
I'm for sure slumping, but I love that. I love feeling like you just kind of become like.
But you're the only one that
couch.
went crossy-legged. That's
Okay.
what you're supposed to do.
What do people
I
do?
tell
Just
everybody.
sitting-
Most people, Chris the strategist did it, and he was great, but he sat like Pinocchio on the edge of a stool
How do you
the whole
talk
time.
to him? He was just like, okay.
It was kind of to the side. It was like we were in a car
This is
together.
very intimate. This
This is what it's supposed to be. Locked off sleepover style. You're the only one that gets this show, Jeannette. You're the only one. And before we get to my question, I won't forget the question. What is your favorite candy?
My favorite candy is Sour Patch Kids.
Fucking great choice.
It's a good choice, right?
Jesus Christ. I remember being scared of Sour Patch Kids.
Why?
Because they're sour. I don't want that. I don't want a 9-volt battery with my popcorn.
I love the sour, like the warheads and the anything that like makes your tongue lose feeling after you've had it.
I wish I had. I have something called Grenades gum, which is the strongest gum. I like to say it's the strongest gum in the world. I don't know if that's true, but it's like Japanese strong.
Okay.
Like
okay.
novelty Japanese gum.
Sure.
And I absolutely love it.
Yum.
It's like, are you an addict?
Yeah, I would say that's my, yeah.
I didn't mean to jump right there.
No, sure.
But a lot of people like us that I got over it. I now love sour.
Yes.
If there's something I can eat that'll like clear my sinuses, that's what grenades
Do you
gum
like
does.
jalapenos?
I'll eat a jalapeno.
Oh. See, I have a theory that anybody who's an addict loves jalapenos, or really just anything that has a
mean
really,
loves?
really, like intense.
Oh yeah.
There's something about
mine is
it's
wasabi peas.
Okay, great. Yes.
I'll eat those, and I want the painful one.
Yes.
I don't.
Give me the most intense. Give me the fucking. Give
I
it to me.
want tears
Yeah.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
I regret this because Richard Rohr, who writes a lot about addiction, who I love, he said that what addicts are looking for is the feeling of being alive. The reason I like that is it humanizes us. It's not just pure victim, like they just can't stop.
Right.
It's actually like there's actually something, it's a misappropriation of a beautiful urge. And there's even a misappropriation of like the Ghost of Christmas Present in the Muppet Christmas movie.
Yeah,
The
it's a good
retelling of
The one with Michael
the
Caine,
Charles
right?
Dickens one. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, sure.
Michael Caine. I can be like the Ghost of Christmas Present where I'm like, more wasabi,
Yeah.
more spicy, more
Yes.
feeling.
Yes.
But then that can go all these dark ways. But what was I saying? Oh, so the feeling of being alive, when you're burning up from wasabi, there's no question that you exist.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh my
You're like,
God.
I'm here.
Yeah, yes.
Fucking here. I'm the guy that's burning up with wasabi.
Yeah.
You relate to that?
Yeah. And Richard Rohr, that sounds familiar.
He's
What
the
is he- he's
Franciscan
done-
that I'm obsessed with. I absolutely love him. He wrote Falling Upward, I think is his biggest book.
Okay. No, I haven't read it. But his name sounds familiar. Maybe I've seen a TED Talk or something.
Maybe. Yeah, he has a lot of crossover because he's one of those, I hate that you have to like that spiritual people, you have to be like, he loves everyone. He doesn't judge people. He doesn't believe in hell,
Right.
all of these. So he's
Yes.
just talking about the present moment. He's just talking about accepting your acceptedness. I think that's actually one of his lines.
Accepting your acceptedness.
That you are accepted.
See, that's a reach for me. That's like, okay, let me think.
Did I lose you?
Accepting that you're accepted.
Yeah. He would say that the job of being a human is to accept that you're accepted because
By yourself. By
the universe, you can say.
okay.
We don't have to say God. You can
Sure.
just say that you are a dignified member of reality.
how do you feel about do you label the universe? What do you
What do
say?
I use?
Yeah, what do you
I have no
use?
problem with God, but that took a
Me
lot
neither.
of work.
Well, here's my thought. I for a while, from growing up religious, I was so sort of like absolutely no, hard no on anything religious, no God, no whatever. And then I kind of was dipping my toe back into spirituality and started calling it the universe. And then I felt like, well, if I'm going to call it the universe, like why not just call it God? That felt kind of, I don't know, it feels.
I think it's
why not?
empowering.
Yes,
To
yes,
me.
yes. I love
Because if
that.
you don't call it God, talk about yes-anding your victimhood. That's the first thing we said. But if you don't, you're going, look, and this is a fine way to feel.
Yeah.
But for me, getting back to a place where I could say, God, I can even throw out a Jesus, a sweet baby Jesus.
There you go. There you go.
I can throw out a sweet baby Jesus. For me,
Yeah.
I sometimes, Val and I do the Friday podcast and I'll catch myself saying the Holy Spirit or something. And I'm like, you got to watch it because some people hate this language so much, but it's just like comes out of
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
I want to talk about that with you because the Holy Ghost is different in the Latter-day Saint tradition a little bit.
What is the Holy Spirit? What is the?
Same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, same
It's-
thing.
okay.
But the communique, the open communique you're having. We'd love to talk about that, or we can just tease that that's in the book. It's very interesting. But to me, the yes-anding of the victimhood is saying like, this is so fucked and twisted for me and ruined for me, I can't even say it. Or you go like, no, I'm going to start saying it. I'm going to retrain that groove and reclaim
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Take back the night.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yep. 100%.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's been meaningful for me, even though I understand if somebody doesn't want to say it. So accepting that you're accepted, I've studied a lot of spiritual different practices.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this on the ride in, actually. I was thinking, they all sort of come down to dropping your guilt, dropping your shame. I'm not talking about mainstream Christianity. They would love you to keep your guilt and your shame.
Yes.
And the Mormon church as well. Like a lot of churches can have that going on for them.
sure.
I say that based on the Mormons that I knew that would tie their wrists to the
Oh my
bed at
God.
night. So that's not exactly going like, God loves you no matter what, relax. Go have a good jerk in the bathroom. Hey, elder, go have a big jerk in the bathroom because you obsessing about it is way worse than just blasting one out and getting on with your mission, buddy. This is... There's some Mormon missionary in Venezuela listening, and he's like, he's right. Puts his Doc Martens, takes them off with the yellow colored in, and just blasts out. Oh, God. I've offended myself. Accepting that you're accepted, dropping shame, dropping guilt, and realizing that this thing that we call God is inside of you and everywhere, meaning not in the sky.
Yes.
And
yes.
if God, which we can all agree is perfect oneness, perfect holiness, all these things that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And it's inside of you, you therefore are also holy or good, or by holy I mean like whole. And you've sort of forgotten, and peace or salvation or conversion or enlightenment is going like, if I'm a piece of God and God is perfect, then I am perfect because I can't be I'm not sullying it. It can't be sullied.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling myself a story of guilt when I could just drop that, wake up to reality, wake up to perfect oneness. That's what I would say a lot of them are pointing to.
And you mentioned both guilt and shame?
Yeah, the twisty chocolate vanilla ice cream cone of shame and guilt.
What is your... So I've gotten so mixed up in guilt and shame. I typically think of guilt as helpful. I think of guilt as like, okay, I need to like apologize, correct something.
Do you want to? Then if you like being corrected, you're going to love this.
Okay, yeah, please.
Let me explain this to you. No, 100% JK. I think just the language I would use is the difference between guilt and remorse.
Ah, yes.
You want remorse.
Yeah, yes. Totally.
Remorse is good.
Totally.
Yeah.
So guilt and shame are, is it according to Richard Rohr? Or this is
I'm
just
kind of generalizing and saying a lot of them are saying like, go easy on yourself.
Yes, yeah.
I find language like, some people find this gaslighting, like Val does not like this type of language.
Okay.
But thinking of reality as a dream or just play. My daughter's name is Leela, it means play.
Yeah.
Or dance of life.
Yeah.
Meaning it is what we're perceiving.
Yeah.
But not just somewhere else. Behind this is a perfect loving oneness. Like here and now, it's here.
Yeah.
And our job is to remove the impediments to perceiving it. And you know how you do that? It's by loving each other, forgiving each other, and forgiving yourself, and forgiving reality.
Yes.
So it's all of this stuff that nobody in their right mind really wants to do. Again, not to shit on your mom, but she loved the victimhood.
Yes.
She loved guilt, and she loved to blame, and everything was like, I'm saying this because I relate.
Yeah.
I do this too.
Yeah.
Everything else is the problem. And everyone else is the problem.
Yes.
And like, that's a nice thing to do with your guilt is project it out and
100%.
go, this casting agent won't book Jeannette.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Yep.
Sweetheart. I mean it, like really, sweetheart. Sweetheart. Not like a Don Draper cigarette cocktail waitress, but like sweetheart.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like, let's just go easy on ourselves. Because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're scapegoating when really it's easier said than done, but like just relax into the sizzling champagne bubble bath of love that's right here.
You know, I didn't realize the thing about self-forgiveness. It always felt to me like that was such a, like it was, you know, lazy or, you know, I feel such a need to like prove myself even to myself that the idea of like, it just felt like going easy on myself, letting myself go. I kind of feared what was on the other side of self-forgiveness, but I really did feel, you know?
Because you vanish.
Yes, exactly.
Jeannette disappears. It's the opposite of wasabi pea.
Exactly.
If you're not in pain or angry or right, God, I love being right.
What? Oh, yeah.
Where do you go?
Yes, exactly.
And what the word for that is mercy. Father Greg Boyle did this podcast and he was like, I don't like forgiveness because forgiveness acknowledges that something bad happened, something wrong happened. Mercy is just... It's always there. It doesn't think about it. Well, Jeannette didn't mean to hurt my feelings.
Right.
She's probably having a bad day. That's like fucking cheap dollar store forgiveness. But mercy is like completely irrational, completely illogical, and does not perpetuate or affirm your existence, which what makes it so scary.
Right.
It's better to be like, no, fuck you, because that's a wasabi pea.
I wonder why too. Like mercy, I immediately think more religious than even forgive. For a while, I think I also was averse to it because of it being so religious-y.
Yes.
But then now it's like, okay, mercy seems more religious than forgiveness. Why does something like I immediately felt myself be kind of defensive toward mercy when you just were talking about it right there. I felt myself like, ooh, I don't know if I can kind of like get on board.
I get it.
With that. Like,
I completely get it.
You know, I don't know. But
I think mercy is offensive to most people if we're being honest, because mercy says nothing happened. And if nothing happened, then like what? This doesn't matter,
right?
That motherfucker or this mother or that piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm right, and they deserve hell, and I deserve heaven. And it goes, now drop it all in the acid of mercy, and we go like, we don't want a God with mercy. We want a God that sides with us and condemns our enemies.
Yeah, right.
It's another bad parent. We want a special relationship with our secret God, and everybody else gets fucked. And I say that with, again, I'm trying to say that with compassion because I used to be one of those people.
Sure.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels
it's
good.
more comfortable. It's more,
I'm going to throw you another weird one.
Yeah.
Even if God's mad at you, if you think you're a wicked little boy or girl, that's good because at least he knows who you are. Val and I were just talking about this, which is also very dualistic, and it's also not mercy. It's not even forgiveness, it's wrath. But you love it because it's another wasabi pea. You upset the president of the fucking cosmos, and he's coming for you. That feels good too. Never occurred to me that your behavior might actually be unconsciously seeking things that you know, quote unquote, God won't like, because at least then, wasabi pea, you exist because you're walking around with that heavy lead coat you wear at the dentist of shame and guilt. And you're wicked, and he's going to kick your ass or burn you up. But at least he's affirming Jennette McCurdy exists. Her behavior mattered.
Right.
Mercy sucks. We hate mercy. The mercy that just goes like, "Come on in." Who wants to go to a country club where everyone can get in?
I have concern. How do you stay grounded? Well, spiritual practice is big for you. It seems like it's so. It's how do you stay grounded?
Oh, big time. To camera, big time. Put my Twitter handle at the bottom. Big time. I am just having a laugh that a man who sells his ego in segments for his job is also like, love the Lord. I do, but it's funny too. It's both. It can be both. Big time spiritual. Have you read my Wikipedia page? Holmes is interested in spiritualities of all varieties. Humility, mercy. It says he's more into mercy than forgiveness with a 1, and the reference is this podcast. What a silly, silly thing we're doing. What a weird dream. Oh my God. Oh gosh.
Okay, at a certain, I
oh my gosh.
I love therapy. It has helped me to be a functioning person, and a healthy person. But I do feel, I guess I feel concerned that I just becoming too therapized, becoming too spiritual, that I get lost in, which is, I know, kind of the point is to lose yourself and all, and like, whatever. But I like, there's some times when if a therapist is telling me something and they're kind of like neutralizing my thinking, where it's just, it makes me want to throw something. Like, it's just like, that's it's so gaslighting. Fucking neutral. Yeah. That's not like like if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Like that, it just feels like, where, like I want them, and I work with a therapist now who really will tell me how she feels and what her kind of judgment is about the thing, or where she's like, oh, you know what, I don't think this is like, she just tells me where she stands, and I find it so helpful, because I think, where do you can't, everything's not just like, well, it's neither here nor there, or it could be this or it could be, I know it could be this or it could be that. Right. I'm here to figure out whether it's this or that. Yeah.
By the way, we've just stepped into another one of my favorite, and this is what Val is so good.
Yes.
You need Val. You can't just have Pete. You need Val too. Meaning there's different altitudes. And if you want to come, put that out, please. My Pete Holmes Show pillows. I love humility. I just love vanishing into the void of God's love. Watch Pete Holmes Show clips on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and make sure alerts are on. 100% JK. In fact, unsubscribe. I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm doing. There's just different altitudes. And I think this is one of the tricky things, different altitudes to fly at.
Yeah.
So here's your issue.
Yes.
And we can fly way up here and go like, Jeannette, just dissolve into the champagne hot tub of God's love. Fuck off, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes the most loving thing to do, which again, isn't just for its own sake. It's like by me loving, and when I say forgiving, I don't mean looking the other way on an error, but just meeting you where you are. Not going like, well, Jeannette should realize that God's love is right here, and why is she, fuck that. Forgiveness might actually just be like, Jesus Christ, you shouldn't have to go, I just had to go to traffic school, or whatever it is. Like sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
But like that spiritual bypassing, or as I think you were saying, being ungrounded. Untethered, feet off the ground. Sometimes can be the least helpful thing. In fact, Val has to remind me all the time that she's like, don't be too Ram Dass, be Richard. Because Richard Rohr is very on the earth and very loving. And Ram Dass would be like, it's all an illusion, baby. You know what I mean? Not helpful right now. And he would say the same.
I'm going to look up Richard Rohr.
You will love Richard Rohr.
Yeah,
if you're okay with the sweet G's. A little mention.
Sure.
Every 5 pages he might talk about sweet G's.
Okay, that's a lot.
Is it a lot?
Every 5 pages.
Yeah, but the pages are huge.
Okay.
They're like beach towels.
Okay.
You have to go like, oh man, this is like it's 5-10 page book. The Naked Now is a good one. Do you like Eckhart Tolle and stuff like that?
I did The Power of Now, and I did the follow-up
The New
to
Earth.
it. The New Earth, yes.
Oh, okay.
I did both those kind of a while ago, and I really liked them. But I read them when I was sort of falling in love into a very addictive relationship, and I think I was just kind of high on that and like reading them from that place, like, oh my God, everything's
So
amazing. Like
funny.
it was the most.
So funny.
Yeah, it was. I was 21, and it was
Okay.
intense. Yeah.
I was gonna say, is it this one? You're like a really toxic, like unhealthy, codependent relationship. You mean the one you're in now? I relate so hard to what you're saying because the last time I've read or listened to those books dozens of times, and the last time was when I was starring in a multicam sitcom, which, as you know, super fun. It's a great schedule. I know yours was complex, but the schedule,
Great schedule, for sure.
And old Holmesy was so high on life that it was bleeding into his interpretation of spiritual things, and that's like I can get kind of embarrassed. I'm like, you were the star of your own show. Of course you could walk around being like, it's all one, man. It's all one.
Right.
And I have to do traffic school. And I'm like, maybe duality is real. Because this website's really riding my ass. There's nothing more boring than traffic school. I thought it might be fun. It was the most boring thing.
I haven't been.
It was online.
Oh, okay.
Just reading stuff. And
That sounds,
one of the questions was like, which of the following is a 2-point violation? How is that helpful?
What is this for? What?
I got pulled over speeding.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of which, do you have that? Because I have that from my mom. The story of you and your dad getting the smoothie.
Yeah.
And then you come home and your mom is like waiting for you.
Yeah. The sound of her keys. Like if I heard her keys to this day, I could tell you that from any other set of keys. It's like so distinct. Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
This stays on the spiritual thing. Do you still have a hard time accepting an image of God that isn't waiting for you with keys? Because that stuff can bleed into our perception of our higher power.
You know, I try not to. I try to think of God as there's still an element of needing to perform for him, of needing to like achieve for him, or feeling like, well, if I do this, then good things will happen.
Yeah.
And I definitely noticed I had a bit of a like resurgence of OCD kind of a couple weeks into the book coming out, and with it doing so, and I wanted it to keep doing well. So I thought, if like my ritualistic behavior was kind of just clicking into gear again.
Right.
If I keep control over all these things, then all the success will continue. And it was, I've definitely had to pay extra attention to that.
Yeah.
You know, for
By
the past
way,
couple months.
I relate hard.
Really?
Somebody just this last week, Val and I had a nice chat about this on We Made It Weird, but oh no, it didn't come up. We meant to. Somebody texted me and they were like, I want a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
She's like, I really want to break into writing. And I'm like, why do I hate this so much? And we uncovered it. We talked about it for quite a while. Not meaning the person or the ask.
Sure.
I'm just like, why do I hate trying to find an answer to this question? And I was like, I think it brings into my awareness something I don't want to look at, which is the randomness of success.
Sure.
So when you're ritualizing
God.
your book success,
Oh.
it's from a fear of the same thing, right?
I 100% want to believe it's because it's this great work
Yes.
of art and it's all the writing
How
and
is
it's
that
all
different?
like
or whatever your
Totally.
ritual was. How is
Totally.
that different from me being like, it's stick-to-itiveness or whatever the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Val and I
yeah.
were talking about it. I was like, there's a lot of people, very talented, because I'm like, oh, they didn't make it, but they weren't out every night. A lot of them were. They didn't. They didn't make it. By the way, we're putting "make it" in quotes, but they didn't write spec script. A lot of them did. Like, there's this like X factor element of unfair, cold,
Whateverness.
blind.
Yeah.
It's not even justice.
Yeah.
It's like it's Plinko on The Price is Right. Things are just, and you don't want to look at it. And when someone says, "How do you become a writer?" and you're like, well, in you asking me, it's really making me realize that you could call it luck, you could call it fate, you could call it good fortune. These are all synonymous, but like there's right time, right place stuff, and that's scary.
Yeah.
Meaning I'm not OCD, but I'll catch myself being like, don't think that way because that's not and the universe will see you for who you are.
Yep.
And will turn off the faucet.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That's, again, I'm just trying to
100%.
relate to you.
Totally.
That's not clinical OCD, but it is magical thinking.
Yes.
And everybody, I'm not saying everybody has that. I can't speak for everybody. I have that.
Yeah.
Right? So your book was doing well. How did it manifest? Or is that too personal?
No. So I mean, this is maybe the scariest of all because I need to purge things often because my mom was a hoarder, and so I feel like I want to keep my space very clean. But I was like holding on to shampoo and conditioner that I'd finished because I was like, that was the shampoo I was using when it debuted at #1, and I wanted to stay at #1, and it was
the
like
#1 shampoo.
So it literally, and then there was a part of me that was like almost. It would flirt with the idea of relief at it not being at #1 because I thought, well, then I don't have to uphold the rituals. As soon as it's not at #1, I don't have to keep doing this. But then, of course, it's like, well, it's on the times list still, so now I'm just going to do it till it's off the times.
Wow.
So then but I mean, I still have, I have like a hand cream jar that was an empty hand cream that's still in my cupboard. I have a shampoo and conditioner, and then like I twirl in the bathroom, like I twirl around myself. Which is kind
you
of
spin.
like, yeah, I spin.
Literally
Exactly.
Spin.
I
No,
literally,
it is
do a little
called
spin.
twirling. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
When you said that, I thought maybe a baton or something.
No, I just myself. Yeah.
This isn't othering you. I'm curious. Could you refill the old bottle with new shampoo? It's just interesting to me that like, what are the rules? Like, let's talk about them. What
Interesting.
are the rules?
I think that would work. That would feel
Same
okay
bottle.
to me. Yeah. That would
By
feel
the way,
okay.
Sometimes I can really get in touch with how insane it is that we throw things away and like things that meant stuff to us. I've had that with skin. Like you ever get like a sunburn and you pull off your skin and you're like, this was me, and then you throw it away.
That's so nasty.
I know. It's really gross.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
that was you, and I'm
Yes.
like, this just goes in the trash.
Yeah.
with the
I had it with a
Q-tips?
blister literally a couple weeks ago. But it was
See?
just,
Thank you for joining me.
But
in my
I was ready.
grossness.
I was ready to get rid of it.
Yeah, but, well, there's grosser and other examples, but you're just sort of like, we have a friend whose kid I think has OCD, and one time they had a very big meltdown because they threw something away. I think they were just at Disney World and they
Yes.
threw away a bottle.
Yes.
And it was like, but where is it?
Yes.
And I was like, look, it's tempting to scapegoat that child and be like, grow up. But I'm also like, I thought that as I was taking out the trash last week, I was like, this is just our family. How many bags? Where is this trash?
Yes.
And also, how weird is it that it's like razors that were touching your face and grooming you,
Yep.
and these bottles that were, like you're saying,
like
with you at the
intimate
time.
things.
It's
They're
very
just so-
intimate.
yeah, totally.
It was in my shower, like
Yeah.
your bottles. It was there with you
Yeah.
all this time, and you just fucking throw it away.
Yeah.
And isn't it, well, you tell me, is it death anxiety too? Is there something like I'll be thrown away? That's what it is for me.
I think there's some element of that. And then, I think there's some element of that.
Yeah, but what is it more? Just what you said, just the specialness of it?
Yeah. And feeling like I want things to keep going well. I really, really want things to keep going well. And I want to believe I have some control over that. I really want to believe that I have some hand or some ability to keep that happening.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe it's random. I don't want to believe there's any element that's random
But also with your mom, again, going to the universe and I'm really struck sometimes where I'm like, our parents teach us not what God actually is, but how we relate to God. I think it can. Meaning your mom was like a 50-sided Rubik's Cube. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like you didn't know which one you were going to get. But like me, it's different but similar. Got very good at reading it. When I was reading a book, I was like, oh, you'll relate to like, I could speak mom, but no one else could speak mom. And I could speak dad. I'd translate what mom said and I'd translate it to dad.
Yes.
And I'd translate it to my brother. I was like, why am I the only one who can fucking do this?
Yes.
And the line I said to my dad, we still laugh about it, even though I'm like, why are we laughing about this? Is I was a little kid, like 10, and I looked at my dad and I was like, why don't you just do what mom says? Because I thought I had figured out the answer, which was like, if you want the house to be calm, just fucking do what she says. Yeah. And as I got older, I was like, because my dad is also a person with his own needs. And I still kind of wish he had maybe walked, maybe middle, just the middle ground, a couple compromises here and there. But where were we? Did you have anything else before I go back to the question I asked you?
Well, I'm curious what that is. What is that thing? You have siblings?
I have one brother, yeah.
And he didn't speak the languages of the...
Nobody spoke John.
What is that? What is that? Is it that you just want to speak so you figure it out? Or what do you think it is?
It was to stop fights, I think. To stop discomfort.
But then why wouldn't other people... Like, I mean, this truly, it baffles me. Why
aren't they trying to figure it out? Yeah, why aren't they? That's the whole thing.
Because everyone fucking hates when shit's going crazy
Unless
so much.
they don't. See, that's an Eckhart Tolle thing. That's in The Power Now. I'm not trying to shame you that you forgot it. Like
No.
Don't you remember? But he talks about like how some relationships, he talks about our pain body. And our pain body is a collection of our past hurts, our psychology, and all our attacking memories.
Yeah.
So it's like just the most vulnerable.
Yes.
When Val and I had that little dust up, we both were like, I think we're in our pain bodies. It's just the language we use.
Yes.
Because you feel sort of possessed. You're not thinking clearly.
Yeah. I always feel like my brain's going at a faster, like it's just, it can't really focus. It can't.
That's it.
Yeah.
You go like, this would be solved if I would just sit down, take a breath.
Yep.
But you can't.
Yep.
You're just like, I cannot.
Going too fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's over some nonsense. But Eckhart Tolle says that some relationships are just pain bodies who get together to feed each other. And I was like, not feed each other goodness, just feed each other like the meat from Tiger King.
Yeah.
Those disgusting pizzas.
Yeah.
Like you just feed each other shit because again, it's another type of wasabi pea, meaning not everybody does want peace.
Yeah.
And it does go back to the spiritual thing. It's like the first step to peace is admitting you don't really want peace. You actually kind of like just a little, even if it's good stuff, that's not very peaceful because even when your book was doing well, you were like, when does it end?
Yes.
That's another wasabi pea.
Yes. It's so interesting. I've been thinking too, just from recently about sort of having that addict mindset, having addictive tendencies and being just kind of obsessive about things. And I'm in a really good relationship now. And we've been together for 6 years, 6.5 years, but there's some times when I just feel like it just is too boring for me. And we speak about this all the time because he's very...
Frankie Muniz? Tell me about Frankie. Just clickbait. Would you go into your relationship with Franklin Muniz? And if you don't correct me, we will assume that it is Frankie, M in the M, Muniz. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
Oh my
interrupt.
God.
But we did have a good laugh. So good relationship. We're going to lose it to the Franklin
good
Muse.
relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's okay with he's okay
Oh,
with
the
the
boring.
boring.
Yeah.
He's okay with it, and he's
He's a steady Eddie.
He doesn't have he's very steady. He's very he doesn't have that addictive like he doesn't even relate. You know, I'll explain what it feels like for me, and he just doesn't have that thing, that addictive kind of thing. And there's some part of me that really just feels like, God, you know, with a stable relationship, and I'm healthy and functioning now, and there's a part of me that crops up fairly often, like more often than I would like, for sure. That's just like, I just want to fuck everything up. I just want to do something that's like rebellious and you know, just get that impulse. You know, I want to.
What is that from? Oh yeah, it's in The Master, where Joaquin Phoenix, who represents, in my interpretation, represents the ego. So it's the part, and he's talking to what is that guy's name? Jesse Plemons.
Yes, yeah.
Who everybody loves. We all love Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
He's yelling at Jesse Plemons. He's like, "Get mad, hit me, throw something like that."
Yes,
that is
I
the
do
voice
remember
of the
this.
ego.
Yeah.
He's like, "Call me a fucker." Like
Yeah.
it won't tolerate just like
Okayness.
Okay, it's
and
fine.
yeah.
Right, which is peace.
Yeah.
It can be peace. And even as you're saying it, and even
Yes.
for all the good game I'm spitting about like wanting surrender and wanting forgiveness and stuff.
Yeah.
This is so healing to me, this conversation, and we're not flying at the highest altitude. Sometimes
yeah.
I relate to what you're saying.
Yes.
And at the same time, I'm like, it sounds like a good thing for you, because that's what Val is for me.
Oh, yes. Yes.
She is in therapy. I used to say, here's when we were dating, I was like, if there's any problem, it's that I will tire, and she knows this, I'd go, of the peppermint fountain. Like there's a fountain and I just fill it up, and it's like a clear glass and it looks like a candy cane, but it's a glass of candy cane. And I'm like, peppermint. And if I ever get tired of never-ending peppermint, thank God, here's something nice about my parents. Whatever they did, they instilled enough like, no, you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be loved, that I can go like,
That's
no,
great.
you know what? I actually really like somebody that loves me constantly, so much so that she talks about me in her therapy and gives me little tips.
Yes.
That might sound unloving, but I take it as quite loving.
Yes.
So yeah, they gave me that for sure. But so and you've been almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years. Yeah.
Which means you've regenerated. You've been cellularly in 6 months. You'll have known each other completely different people.
Wow. Okay.
that
I mean,
wild?
it definitely feels that way.
Right?
I've changed so much. He's changed so much.
Growing together?
What's that?
Growing together, do you feel?
Yeah. But then also just who we are individually we've grown so much closer, and so much that element I love, and I wouldn't trade that. And also it's cool to see how much we've, I think, informed how we've each grown individually, but in big ways, but that we're more ourselves, but just it's really
It's
great.
exactly the phrase you want, is more ourselves.
Yeah.
The opposite of what we've been talking about. Like, imagine, I've been in relationships like this where you have to get in character.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
It's the same wound playing out again. But if you found somebody where you can be safe and be yourself, I mean.
Yeah, I've definitely had the in character ones. There was somebody I was with during when I used to be on Vine, that app that really. Yeah.
R.I.P. Vine.
And
we miss you.
And the
Vine.
guy would say,
See,
just be more like you are on Vine. Like you be like, do that more. And I'm like.
Did he meet you on the app Vine? I mean, the only way I would accept this is if you met because you connected on Vine.
I think he had seen. I think he had seen some of my Vine. We didn't like meet through friends. We met sort of through social media.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can I say we were talking about friends don't miss us, they miss who we were 20 years ago.
Yep.
I don't miss the app Vine. I miss the guy that was making Vines. Just still kind of had it in me. I'd make little like good night
You did
Vines. Oh, I loved my Vine.
okay.
I was all about it.
Oh.
And I'm very proud. I wouldn't say I'm very proud, but you can type in, because Val and I did it.
Yeah.
Pete Holmes Vine compilation, and we
they're
watched
there.
my old Vines. And it sounds like just like a exercise in narcissism.
I wanna
But it was
watch.
really just going like, remember?
Wow.
Just like silly.
Yeah.
Like I just seemed like I was worried about less.
Do you feel that? Like, do you feel that you're worried about more?
I
these
do,
days?
yeah. Like, there's part of my awareness that's like, where's Val? Where's Leela? Like, just kind of like in a loving way, not a
Yeah.
nervous way. Where are they? Where are we at? MeUndies.com/weird, or the sponsor's happy, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
always MeUndies. I should pick a different one.
Do you feel in relationship I do that so often. I hate when I get stuck there of like, how are we compared to how we were before? How are we? Where are we going to go in the future? Like I have to try and calm that part of myself to be present. Yeah. Because I really my instinct is so often to not be present and to be the list maker. The how many times have we had sex this week? Okay, is that enough? Is that okay? You know.
And sometimes we need that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like in Val and I's relationship, we fill in the blanks. We're both kind of like. Kind of soft and gentle, and then there's different parts of each of us that is rigid. And
Have you heard of internal family systems? Parts work?
I'm familiar with it. I've never done it though.
I've started it recently.
Really?
I like it. But
Val's recommended it before too.
Really?
I think she's more familiar with it than I am.
They just mentioned a thing of like how sometimes you got your different parts, and the idea being to sort of integrate them more, but also that sometimes it's okay to let a certain part kind of take the reins if that's what's needed.
Yes.
Just what you said reminded me of that, and letting the manager.
Well, you were talking
take the
about
reins
your
sometimes.
freezingness.
Yeah.
I can help Val out of her frozenness, and she can help me out of my frozenness. And what's beautiful is that we do that for one another.
Yes.
There's been plenty of times where I'll go like, you're not doing that. Like it's a beautiful, loving,
Yeah.
and she starts laughing, and I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You hate that. Every time you do that, you hate it.
Yeah.
And she's healed, and she'll do the same for me.
Yeah.
She'll go like, what do you,
Yeah.
because it's often with my family, I'll go like, well, and my,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, but it's not like, oh God, you know what I mean? I'm worried they'll think that she keeps me from them. But the truth is she just helps me realize like, have a boundary. For example, when I said I just saw them in October, I have no memory like that. I don't work in time like that. Val has to go, you saw them 2 months ago. And I'll be like, right.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so she helps me in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's really good at regulating me.
Oh yeah, Ari does that for me. Also, he'll say, he'll remind me. Yeah. Or
Ari Shaffir?
Ari, no, wait. He's like that's a comedian, right?
Yeah.
That's I can like I think I can picture his face.
Yes.
But maybe I'm thinking of the wrong
I don't
one.
want to describe him. I don't know why.
Okay.
That sounded like the worst burn. It would be impolite to describe him, but that's not what I meant. He's a very, very funny man and a good man. And a special, it's
that's
called
nice.
Jew, is on YouTube right now. I'm not making that up. I looked at Katie. Katie, edit all of this out. I'm just kidding. Here we are. The question, we're on your spirituality and we're going to stay there, but I am curious if when your mom died, did that give you closure, or is everything the same? Does she still loom in your consciousness in a similar way?
Well, certainly not when she first died. I mean, yeah, no, it was not by any means. She died, and then I'm relieved and can finally be myself. And it was really, really.
I think a lot of people might believe that. By the way, it's like when they die, they're gone.
Ooh, yay! Right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And I don't think that's how it works. Is what you're saying.
No, and actually, I think that last time I was on, it was maybe shortly after my mom died. I was in a really, I was in a dark place, but I don't think it seemed like one. I don't think
hindsight dark.
Yes, yeah. I always think it takes like 3 years to know where I was at any time. It really kind of takes that perspective to be like, oh God, yeah, that was now from where I am now. I kind of know the extent of what was happening, and just knowing. I mean, I was really deep in eating disorders and had a lot of alcohol issues during that time, and yet it was just like. I think I was kind of showing up and be like, oh, I'm having fun. Like, what, it just was so.
Buddy, me too.
So.
Whenever it was,
Yeah.
I was also, I hadn't stopped drinking yet.
Okay, yeah.
Probably hungover and all these different things, yeah.
I was so self-conscious about it too. I was wondering if that was kind of why I was feeling that of like, oh, I really want to show up as myself and not be, not have that kind of the how I presented before was just so inauthentic to what I was actually feeling at the time. I'd like to be able to show up as myself at any given time. This is something I talked about actually in therapy, where she was like, oh, but don't discredit yourself and recognize that you're a decade older and a decade of working on yourself further, and, have some self-trust. She kind of encouraged me to have. So I try to remember that. Yeah. But no, it was not. It was really, it was really heavy for a while. It was really of course, painful and complicated, all the things that you, I guess, expect grief would be. And then I actually found out this is, I guess, a spoiler, but whatever. I found out that my dad wasn't my biological dad a year and a half after my mom died. And that was sort of the thing, because my first therapist had suggested that my mom was abusive. I quit that therapist because I didn't want to believe that. I didn't want to.
Too much.
Yeah, I didn't want to do whatever work that entailed. It was just intimidating. And then I found out the thing about my dad, and then I thought, well, if my mom didn't tell me that, like, who was she really? That was just sort of, as I see it now, the final straw. Is that right? The last straw, the final straw?
Straw that broke the camel's
straw
back?
Yeah.
Or the last straw.
The last
a lot of straw.
A lot of
Most
straw.
of human history, we were fucking with straw. So a lot of metaphors about straws. Not so much anymore.
There was something to that just made me think, okay, I gotta figure out kind of who I am separate from the these people, intentionally kind of distancing myself from my family, not saying, I gotta figure out who I am separate from my family, but like these people who are my family, I have to figure out who I am separate from that, because I can just get caught in the undertow of this and the baggage of the past, or I can kind of just start taking accountability for myself, and I was really caught in blame and anger for a while of how dare my mom not tell me this about my dad? Fuck her. I can't believe she did this. This is ridiculous. Now I have to deal with all this. Who am I? Why didn't my dad tell me sooner? Why didn't my grandparents tell? Just so pointing fingers toward everyone. And really, really angry. And I think I'd been carrying that anger for a long time before I even knew those realities. There was something in me, I think, just from growing up the way that I did, where I was just angry, just had that unprocessed, unexercised, felt anger, I guess. I was trying to suppress it for so long. And then I really just kind of felt the anger, a lot, and for a while, and then kind of started feeling what was underneath the anger, which was just so much pain and disappointment. And
so they say anger is pain in disguise. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. That I didn't want to believe for a while. When my therapist had told me that, like that there's stuff underneath the anger, I thought,
because anger is so much better.
Yeah.
It's more empowering,
and it's motivating.
Yeah. It's cool. There's literally a whole genre of
funny.
movies.
Yes.
Like, what if John Wick was like, wait, I'm just mad about my dog. I don't need to shoot all of these people in the face. I'm transmitting my pain because I refuse to transmute it. That's a Richard Rohr. If you don't transmute your pain, you transmit it.
That's great.
Isn't that good?
That's really great.
Yeah, you just keep passing it forward.
Oh my God.
Into 4 John Wick movies. There would be no franchise if he was just like, yeah, mercy. No one wants mercy. We want vengeance.
And I think there's a part of me that wanted to hold on to the anger, because I did think I thought that I could be funnier with the anger. I thought that the kind of roles that I played tended to be very angry people, and I thought, well, that works for me.
And also sad people. It was heartbreaking in your book when they're like noticing your sadness.
Yeah.
It's like the worst part of this town. It's like, she's so sad. Put
Isn't it
her on
amazing?
camera.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Look at the sadness in her eyes.
Yeah.
It's like what the whole country thinks we are. And sometimes it is what we are. And we're like, whoopsie.
Yes.
We're the worst.
Yes.
Horrible. Yeah.
But then I think once I really started to get more honest with myself about the anger and the sadness and the pain, all the things underneath it, and all my mistakes and the things that the blaming I had done. And I think that was when I started to actually feel some closure, which I think weirdly ties into the self-forgiveness, which I didn't want to believe that could lead to forgiveness of other people, because I think I just feared what that would entail. Like, if I don't have that chip on my shoulder all the time, what does that even mean for who I am as a person? Like, if I don't carry that around, what will I be? And yeah, it took years, and I would say now I don't think there's ever going to be like full closure with it. I don't really know if that's possible. But I am able to just miss her and to not have it be a really complicated experience that brings up anger and wanting to throw things, and then feeling like my whole day's thrown off, and then feeling like I'm taking out on other people. Like, I'm able to just have it be like, oh, I just miss her. Like, literally.
Right.
It's so much better, yeah.
I know I should be like, oh, don't cry, but it's so beautiful because to mask it and disguise it and to hide it.
Yeah.
Because sadness is also one of those feelings that we're supposed to be like, you know, but it's like, I know it's not my place to be proud of you, but like I'm proud of you as a friend.
Thank you.
And I'm like, that's what the work looks like.
Thank you.
Because if you were just fuck you, like I'd be like, oh, we just started the journey.
Yes.
We just started the journey.
Yes, exactly.
I feel the same.
Exactly.
I spent a lot of time being angry or just boundaries with my folks.
Really?
Just being like, this sucks and really going at it hard, and then just being like getting a little bit more honest.
You don't read angry at all. Like I don't pick up on any of that.
It's working. I'm just kidding.
But you know what I mean? How I feel like I don't know. I feel like anytime if a person's really angry forward, I feel like it's just impossible to not kind of like lead with.
Yeah. It's the grapefruit in the fruit salad. The whole thing tastes like grapefruit. No, I know what you mean. I appreciate that because it's the same compliment I'm giving you. Is that like to process it on the other side of it? There can be a calm recognition of wrongs, no denial.
Yeah.
But also no need to exaggerate them or to hold on to them.
Yep.
Because you realize, I don't know if someone else has made this metaphor, but it's like you're clinging to these rocks, and they're the rocks that are keeping you sinking in the ocean.
Yes.
And like you don't want to let go of them because, damn it,
Yeah.
these things happen.
Yeah.
But it is like, what is it? Forgiveness is giving up hope for a better past. I believe Lily Tomlin said that.
Giving up hope for a better past. Wow.
Isn't that
Lily
good?
Tomlin said that's incredible.
Yeah, old Lil.
That's
and
great.
then she said, watch Grace and Frankie, we sell dildos. So people are lots of different things.
How do you feel with so forgiveness? This was something that was really important for me to hear. I'll say it and I hope it's helpful for someone. But because I had been so adamant about finding forgiveness for my mom, and that was sort of the goal. You know, I love a goal, I love a result, and the thing that I was going to therapy for was I'm going to find forgiveness for my mom, and then I'm going to quit therapy, and I'm going to be good, and I'm going to on my merry way. And my therapist Erin had said, you know, what if forgiveness isn't the goal? What if that's not what you're aiming for? What if you just kind of like gave up on the idea of forgiveness? And that was, I mean, it's transformative. Like I remember just kind of bending over myself and really collapsing and feeling now as I see it, what I imagine when people talk about forgiveness, what I imagine that weight is that's lifted when they forgive. I felt that
By giving up.
by giving up the idea of forgiveness.
Can I say,
Yeah.
not to over spiritualize this?
Please.
Because you are mercy. The ego forgives. Your true self is just made of mercy. The ego loves or has special love, but your true self is made of love, is love. So that surrender, very smart. Who's this therapist?
Erin Mason.
AaronMason.com/McCurdy? That's the promo code? But that's good therapy right there.
Yeah, it was, I mean, wow. Yeah, it was like, it was a moment that I'll never forget, and it really changed my life.
Yeah. Let's note that as the time. Sorry to commercialize this, but I'm like, that's a good little clip. Just because sometimes people don't watch the whole episode.
Yeah,
and they
sure.
Just this clip.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
All right. I have to pee, but I'm going to hold it.
Okay.
Oh my God, the story of you holding your poo as a background actor. Again, like if you have kids, do you want to have kids?
I
It's a loaded
don't.
question.
I
Okay,
don't.
okay.
But I'm open to my mind changing, and I recently have been kind of thinking. I don't know. Maybe I
love it.
will. There's like a weird.
My friend Chris just said to me, he goes, I don't believe in planned pregnancies. He's like, just see what happens. You know what I mean? I guess that could be a controversial statement, but their baby wasn't planned and they're rolling with it. And I'm like, do you want to have another one? And they're like, we don't plan.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. And yeah, it's not something that seems loaded. It would kill me if Leela thought I was like, yikes. It's just, it's a big thing.
Yeah,
It's a big
yeah,
thing.
for
That's
sure.
all I'm saying.
For sure.
It's a big thing.
For sure.
But when reading your book through the lens of a parent is like, I can't handle the thought of Leela holding her poop in. It's just too much. Now we're getting into pity. I'm not trying to pity you. I'm just like, the thought of kids.
Yeah,
It's too much.
Sure. No, and a lot
Not just
of
kids.
parents have said things about how they've. I love hearing from parents who have read it and yeah.
Believe it or not, even though it's this like troublesome tale, is it too late to put that on the book? A troublesome tale. Pete Holmes.
Oh my God.
And it has a picture of me. Why is his picture on the book? I think it will help people in big ways and little ways just parent better, be more aware, more conscious. Any memoir written from that age is going to help people go like, oh, right, these are people.
Right.
These are people.
Right.
They're not purse dogs. Okay. Let's roll. Let's close. Is there anything you didn't want to say? I mean, that you did want to say that you didn't get to say? Any area that you felt I cut you off or something?
No. I feel good. How do you feel?
I feel great, but that can sometimes be the worst sign.
Really?
If I'm like, no, it's
If he feels bad, is it
fantastic.
great?
And then I don't read comments and stuff, but people will sometimes be like I remember I thought the Charlie Day one was so good, and then I accidentally saw the comments, and they were like, this host needs to shut the fuck up. And I was like, yikes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they're not wrong, but they're not right either.
Where do people comment on? Is it YouTube or where do people?
Yeah, it'll be on Instagram.
Okay, sure.
That's why I'm not. I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I occasionally check my messages, but just the verified ones. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm not. What's your favorite breakfast cereal? Just to cleanse.
I'm gonna say Cinnamon Toast Crunch
because it's the right answer.
Really?
What's your number 2? Because that is just the right answer.
Reese's Puffs.
Jesus Christ, those are exactly my
Wait, are
answers.
you serious?
Yes.
No, really? Oh my
Jeannette.
God. Favorite breakfast cereals came up on a Zoom recently, and I felt like such an oddball. Everyone was like talking about, there was like Special K was mentioned, which I just thought is like not.
Okay, that person, that's a cry for help. If they're like, I love Special K, I'm
I
like,
like Special K when I was.
Are you special okay? Are you okay? You're not okay. Like, are you that's like blinking erratically to tell the FBI, I am safe. My favorite cereal is Special K. Do not worry about me. Do not send rescue. Like, the FBI would be like, he said Special K, we gotta move. Swarm. Special K is good, but so is Total. Get the fuck out of my house. You know what I mean? We're not here to talk about Total. Total's toasted. It has a nice toasty taste. Crispix. If we're gonna say like a basic bitch cereal, that's good.
That's the sort of like hexagon.
Crispix. Yeah, it's
one?
good. Strangely good. But the correct answer is
I'm thinking
Cinnamon
of the
Toast
flavor
Crunch.
of Wheat Thins, but the shape of Crispix, and I don't like.
Crispix is more of a corn.
No, not Wheat Thins. No, Chex. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And Crispix is a crispier.
Wheat Thins are a cracker, right?
Wheat Thin is a great cracker. Don't get me started.
What's the shredded wheat one with the sugar on
wheat.
top?
Yeah.
Is that shredded wheat? Okay.
it's good.
They used to have
Frosted
like
mini wheats? You might be.
Yes.
Thinking of, yeah.
Yes. Those are so good.
Also love these are the addict cereals. These are the ones that give you the most
They've
like
got a layer of sugar on top. Yeah, totally. And
Cinnamon
it
Toast
scrapes your
Crunch is like
mouth.
we know what you want. Yeah.
Yeah,
But Wasabi Peas is a breakfast cereal called Frosted Mini Wheats. Like it's the most like experience.
Yes.
There's a narrative to it. Those
sure.
last ones are super soggy.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh God. One Christmas I gave Val here at this house. I gave Val. It was a big box, and it was just 5 cereals.
She loves cereal?
Everyone loves cereal. This is what made this gift genius. It's the gift you didn't know you wanted. You open it up and there's just 5. By the way, steal this idea. 5 sugar cereals. I think we ate all of them in like 3 days. Like we just housed them.
Do you not have sugar cereals on hand regularly?
No.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I'll straight up judge you. If I'm in your house and I see Count Chocula, I'll be like, okay. All right. Grow up.
That's literally
like-
me, and I'm wearing
And what?
I'm wearing a dinosaur cardigan.
I know. No, you never grow up. I'm full of shit in so many ways. I'll judge it, but it's probably envy and it's probably scapegoating because what I'm doing is binging. Like I'll buy it and eat all of it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
okay,
like,
okay.
that's what a decent person does. Do it in the shadows. He's a Dracula for Count's sake. So yeah, just having it and occasionally eating it, but I couldn't have it in my house. If I had Cinnamon Toast Crunch in my house, like
I have
it goes
the
down
Cinnamon
in a
Toast Crunch Cinnadust that I put on my coffee every morning. I do whipped cream on top of my coffee, and then I do the Cinnadust on top. It's so good.
Oh my Jesus.
Yeah.
Cinnadust?
I have a thing with food because I had such a
Of course.
difficult relationship with it for so long that I have no food rules. I eat whatever I want whenever I want.
Food rules.
Yeah, no, like I'm gonna not have this,
Good for you.
Yeah, and I have half the time a very childlike relationship with food that's really important to me.
Yes.
And then, yesterday I had a salad and a green juice from Earth Cafe, and I feel like I literally have that when I want that, and when I don't want that, I completely don't have that, and it
great.
feels, I love food, and I love my Cinedust every morning.
You're doing so good. See, that's Cinedust is forgiveness, and Earth Bar, no offense, that's like having the right amount of, hey, Mom, you could have done better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like but
yes.
The extremes in either direction can be so dangerous.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the balance is for me with alcohol. Like I can't just sometimes have alcohol, so you need to know your limits. But I can sometimes eat some cookies.
Really? So is that your relationship with alcohol? Is that it's very
It's out
completely?
Only because Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yeah,
if you give Pete a handle of vodka, I'll be like, this every meal.
Sure.
Every meal
Sure,
we should have this.
Yeah.
And again, it's that wanting to be alive, and there's I wouldn't change it about me in the world. It's the same guy that buys Val 5 boxes of cereal or has conversations like this. It's like, let's more and more, the 2-hour podcast, let's go.
Yeah.
Like that. So I've learned, like you, that balance. I'm not like, fuck Addict Pete, he's the worst. Addict Pete is why I got good at stand-up or why I got good at writing. It's like you need compulsive behaviors sometimes.
Yeah.
In fact,
totally.
show me somebody that we all know about. Michael Jordan or I'm trying to think of somebody who hasn't been scandalized. Yeah, I was like Michael Jackson. But you know what I'm saying is like they all had compulsive behaviors.
Yeah. I had
The end.
Yeah.
You're like, I also have to pee. Last question. Well, wow, this has been such a great episode. I didn't get to any of the that post that says die, UFO, ghost, nap, or vice.
UFO, ghost. Wait, what post are you looking at?
It's
Right there.
it's
I
on
see.
the
I see.
fridge. But we'll just do the last question, which is better than all of those. Can you think of a time in your life that you laughed really, 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 really hard? Maybe when you were a kid, maybe recently with Ari Shafir, your boyfriend, Frankie Muniz. But crying, laughing. And it doesn't have to be a good story. I always like to take the pressure off. It's just like, who are you with? What happened? Did somebody fart? Somebody usually farted or fell down.
No, I remember this from last time. I don't think I had anything last time either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, the either is the tell. Then let's do this. Ever see a ghost?
Ever see a ghost?
Or a UFO or something you can't explain? Ever have a psychic tell you something and it completely comes true? Ever have a prophetic dream? Ever almost die?
No, I don't. I
Never
don't think
almost died?
I don't think I've had any of the. No.
Okay, here's a better one. We never get to this one.
Oh.
Tell me about a great nap you took. You have any best nap of your life in a weird place or was perfect?
I've recently I've never been a napper. I used to really not like. I used to not be a good sleeper and thought it was a waste of time and really was so weird about
You
it.
wake up in the morning. Well, that was a waste of time. That is the funniest way to start a day. I literally did nothing.
That's how I felt. That's literally how I felt.
I could have been doing anything. What a waste of time.
I was truly hard on myself about sleep. But I love sleep now. I love a good 9 hours, 10 hours is great.
You're Cinedusting.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of travel and I've been napping on airplanes. There's no real story here, but I
love that you can nap on an airplane.
And
That's
I love a nap
skill.
where I drool. When I drool, it's a really, really good, it means I'm very comfortable. I'm really deep in it. And
Jeannette.
I've been napping on planes a lot.
I love that you're like, I better get this out quick because he is going to talk about drool. I can't wait. I'll nap on a plane and I'll wake up and it's so uncomfortable and so unnatural and you're in a chair like you're visiting someone in the hospital. It's the only time you sit in the chair position. Hospitals and planes, you're in the chair position.
That's
and
so true.
You wake up and you're like, I didn't even nap. And I'd feel my mask and it's wet. And I'm like, you napped.
Yes,
And
the
there's a
wet
reason.
mask.
You wet mask.
Yeah,
I wear the
totally.
mask. I don't care about COVID. I just want to know if I nap. Jeannette, I think the hardest laugh might have been this episode. We laughed so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just complimenting us. We talked about your book, but not directly.
I really appreciated how we talked about it.
Right?
I felt really like this was fun and I felt engaged and I didn't revert to a soundbite.
I didn't see you
once.
do it once.
Yeah.
The answer The capital A answer? Oh, let me get the answer. Oh, God. I'm so glad. I'm proud of both of us. But here at the end, we'll plug it in the intro too, but the book is called, it's not called I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead. Don't call it that. It's I'm Glad My Mom Died, which is very different.
It's so funny. People do, I'm glad my mother has died. Like, I've seen so many different.
My mother wrote a porno. It's what? That's a different podcast. No, it's hard. It can be hard to hold in your head, but it's I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Yes.
And it's a great audiobook because people listening to this love
Thank
listening
you.
to things. Great performance. There's also just a great book. Check it out. And anything else you want to say?
I am just so happy to be doing this with you, and thanks for having me.
Oh, it was awesome. Truly. One of my favorite episodes.
Oh.
I think around the holidays, people going to be needing this one.
Yeah.
People going to be needing
My
it.
therapist said this is when she gets her biggest uptick in appointments, these 2 weeks.
Facts.
Yep.
What was her name? Erin Malone?
Aaron Mason.
Aaron Mason. Aaron Mason is my literary agent, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So edit that out. I'm just kidding. Aaron Mason, checkherout.com/McCurdy. And I don't know if you remember from last time, we have the guest say keep it crispy.
Keep it crispy. I remember because I didn't know then, and I was mortified.
Oh, because you were a big fan.
Yes, and I
All good.
could not believe that I didn't know.
Here we are, and we
To this guy?
Make it right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's your camera.
Keep it crispy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We could have talked for 9 more hours.
Oh my God.
You made it weird. You made it weird.